Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Kami and Shinigami mask Naruto godly being in chunin exams. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Three-Headed Dragon and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Birth of the Demonic Centipede. A loud steady beep echoed throughout the mostly empty hospital room in the village of Konoha. The only people in the room were the third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, and the other person in the room was the body of a young boy that looked about 5 years old but was actually 8. His once blonde hair was dyed crimson with blood, his once slightly tanned skin was now pale and littered with bruises, cuts, and burns, his once bright blue eyes filled with life were now dull and lifeless, he had 3 whisker-like marks on his cheeks and 3 holes in his stomach. He wore barely anything as his clothes were torn to rags and soaked in his blood. This boy was Naruto Uzumaki, the recently killed Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Hiruzen could only look at the body in guilt as he blamed himself for what had happened to Naruto. He was the one that told the entire village of Naruto's birth the night he was born, he was the one that expected people who just lost a great deal of loved ones to understand that a child couldn't be the cause of their pain. And he was the one that thought that a few simple laws would be enough to let Naruto try to live a normal life. Hiruzen was also beating himself up for the fact that now he could never tell Naruto the truth. Naruto had asked him plenty of times why people hated him and who his parents were, and he had lied to Naruto every time on both subjects, telling him that he didn't know who Naruto's parents were and that Naruto should forgive the villagers, for they just needed time. Hiruzen knew damn well that any normal person wouldn't have put up with half of the shit that Naruto did, knowing this hurt Hiruzen's heart more, since he knew that Naruto only put up with so much because of him. Just then the door to the room opened and in walked Ayame Ichiraku. Ayame was a 13-year-old young woman with fair skin, long dark brown hair, and large black eyes that were currently bloodshot. She wore a waitress outfit with black low-heeled sandals, the front of her outfit was covered in blood, since she was the one to find Naruto and bring him here. Naruto had been coming to her father's raiment stand since he was 4, and even though people called him a demon and a monster, she and her father only ever saw a hungry little boy. Hearing the steady tone from the heart monitor and seeing the lifeless eyes, Ayame knew right away that the little boy that she and her father adored was gone. As that information sat in her mind, she simply walked over to Naruto's body, laid her head on Naruto's chest, and started to loudly cry. Seeing this only made Hiruzen's self-hatred grow as he clenched his fists tightly while looking down in shame. Minato, Kushina, I've failed you in the worst way possible. Hiruzen thought to himself. Limbo. Currently Naruto is sitting on the ground in a large grey void while a woman walked around him and seemed to be sizing him up. The woman was rather tall, standing at 6'3" with pale white skin, bright red eyes, waist-length ink black hair, and hergless figure, wide hips, thick thighs, long legs, GG cup breasts, and a fat ass. For clothes she wore a tight black kimono dress with a deep neckline showing a lot of cleavage, a long slit up the right side showing her leg, red runes decorating the back and sleeves, and on her feet were black high heels. So you are my sister's chosen, the child meant to either bring peace or destruction, and yet here you are, killed by the very beings she favors so much, and you're so young at that. Said the woman as she stopped in front of Naruto. Her voice was beautiful and seductive, but also carried a dark edge to it. Who are you and where am I? Asked Naruto as he looked around. The fact that the woman said he was dead didn't really bother him as he had come to accept that the villagers would kill him sooner or later. Sure, he was sad to leave his friend Ayame and that nice cat mask Anbu behind, but what could he do as death has finally claimed him? I am Yami, goddess of darkness and the ruler of hell. As for where you are in limbo or the world between life and death. Said the now named Yami. Are you here to take me to hell for the fox's crimes, Yami-sama? Asked Naruto. Oh, so you know about the fox Naru-chan. And don't call me Sama as I hate formalities. Said Yami. Very well, and yes, I know about the fox. It's hard not to figure it out with everyone calling me fox brat, demon fox, or fox scum. Said Naruto in a neutral voice. True enough, now on to business. You see, Naru-chan, while you may be dead now, you won't stay dead. Like I said before, you are my sister's chosen, and therefore she won't allow you to die just yet. In truth, you've died a couple times before, but Kami-chan always had Shinigami-kun bring you back. The reason that isn't happening now is because I got to you first this time, so we could maybe make a deal. Said Yami. What kind of deal? Asked Naruto while being a little upset that Kami is playing with his life. Yami smirked at him, showing she had sharp fang-like teeth. Well, you see, I want you to become my chosen. I'll bring you back to life, but the catch is you'll really be a demon, though will it really be so bad since everyone already sees you as a demon? Also, I'll give you the powers of a race long since gone known as the ghouls, which happens to be my favorite race. The catch with this power is that you'll never be able to eat human food again and will only be able to live off human flesh and you may slightly go insane," said Yami. Naruto sat there thinking about this offer he was getting from Yami. She was right that everyone already saw him as a demon and a monster, so why not give them what they want? Though he was also wondering what she got out of this. "What do you get out of this? You must want something," asked Naruto. "Oh, he's smarter than he allows others to see," Yami thought to herself. "Like I said, the ghouls were my favorite race. I want you to bring them back to the world and I'll allow you to do that by giving you the ability to turn others into ghouls and taking multiple wives," said Yami. "And how do you expect me to take multiple wives when I'm a demon that eats people?" asked Naruto, as turning people into ghouls was easy, getting people to love him was much, much harder. "There are plenty of people in your world that are demons and monsters without my help, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to find love. Now do we have a deal?" asked Yami as she held her hand out to Naruto. Naruto looked at her hand for a few moments before he reached out and shook her hand. "Oh, and I'll be changing your appearance a little and dumping a lot of information into your head, so don't be surprised if you wake up with a headache," said Yami before Naruto disappeared. "Good luck, Naru-chan, I can't wait to see how the world reacts to your power, my little centipede," Yami said to herself. Thus then two other beings appeared behind Yami. "So we are really going to be brought back to life in order to help that boy?" asked the first figure. "Yes, you two will help him bring the ghouls back to this world, along with whoever he chooses," said Yami. "I don't mind as he was rather cute, plus I'm sure he'll be quite strong and handsome as he grows up," said the second figure. Living world. AM was still crying over Naruto's body when it suddenly started to thrash around violently. AM jumped back in fear at what was happening and Hiruzen stood up in fear that the Kyuubi was trying to escape. Soon though they both saw the color return to Naruto's skin, his hair went from blonde to crimson red, his wounds steamed as they healed themselves closed, and his body began to grow until he was a little above average for an 8-year-old. Once the process was done, Naruto stopped thrashing and settled down with the heart monitor, giving off regular beeps, showing that there was now heartbeat. "Ho Kage-sama, what just happened?" asked AM, too afraid to actually believe that Naruto was alive again. "I honestly don't know, child, but I intend to find out," said Hiruzen. "I can provide you with answers," said Naruto as he sat up with his eyes still closed. As he slowly opened his eyes, Hiruzen and AM noticed that they had changed as well, since they were dark purple now with slit pupils. "AM-chan, go get your dad as I only want to explain this once tonight since I have a major headache," said Naruto. But that AM went to go get her dad from the waiting room since they had closed down the stand when AM found Naruto. Once they both came back, Naruto began to explain everything to them, from being a Jinchuriki, dying, and now being a half demon and half ghoul, along with still being a Jinchuriki. At the end of the explanation, AM and her father were shocked at all the information that was dumped on them, while Hiruzen looked grim. "Naruto, why would you accept such a deal if you were going to be brought back anyway?" asked Hiruzen. "Because I had no reason not to accept. If I had allowed myself to be brought back by Shinigami-sama, I would have been brought back weak and just ended up dead again the next time the villagers attacked me. It also doesn't help that I don't like the fact that Kami was playing with my life. The first time I died I should have been allowed to rest in peace. Now though, not only can Kami no longer play with my life, but I also have the power to defend myself and the village gets the demon they always wanted," said Naruto while looking at his hands. While he may look normal, Naruto could feel the power that lay just beneath his skin just waiting to be unleashed. His skin felt tougher, his muscles felt stronger, he could see things much clearer, his sense of smell was off the charts, and he could even hear AM's, Hiruzen's, and Tuchi's heartbeats. Then he felt it, a dull ache in his stomach that was gradually getting worse, so this was the hunger that Yami was talking about. It wasn't as bad as he was expecting, but that could be because he had gone hungry plenty of times before. Suddenly Naruto felt arms wrap around him and looked up only to find AM hugging him. He took in her scent and it made him hungrier, but he simply ignored it in order to enjoy the warmth he felt coming from her. "I don't care about any of that, Naruto-kun, I'm just happy you're alive again. I don't care what you eat or what you are, you're still just Naruto-kun to me," said AM as her body started to shake and Naruto felt his shoulder become wet. Naruto frowned at this as he didn't want AM crying over him. Hiruzen could only give a small smile at this, sure this would take some getting used to, but at least Naruto was back and his personality hadn't changed too much. "Speaking of your new eating habits, Naruto-kun, how are we going to handle that?" asked Hiruzen. "I'm sure there are plenty of people in prison that are going to be sentenced to death, so why don't I just eat them?" said Naruto. "I was already planning that, Naruto, but I can't just have you walk into our prison every time you're hungry," said Hiruzen. Tuchi took a deep breath at this before coming to a decision. "If you send me the bodies of dead inmates, I'll prepare them so that they at least appear like human food," said Tuchi. Are you sure about that, Tucci-san? Doing that kind of work can be very taxing on the human mind. Asked Hiruzen. I'm sure, Hokage-sama. Said Tucci. Wait a minute, I can ask you to do that for me, Tucci. You already don't have as much business as you should, simply because you serve me. If you start serving human flesh you won't have a business at all, plus I don't want you and AM-chan to deal with the stress of preparing my meals. Said Naruto. Nonsense, Naruto, I want to do this as it helps you. You may be a demon and a ghoul now, but you weren't before and only chose to become this because of the humans that pushed you this far. It makes me ashamed to call myself human, so in order to make up for what my race has done to you, the least I can do is make you something to eat. Said Tucci. Naruto, seeing that he couldn't talk Tucci out of this, just nodded, but as soon as Tucci and AM appeared to be losing that spark of life he constantly saw in them, he would make them stop. Now there's the issue of explaining your new abilities to the council, and don't worry about AM and Tucci's business, Naruto, as I'll be funding them. Said Hiruzen. Tell them it's a bloodline, since my abilities will be passed down to my children, or tell them the truth, that I have become an actual demon now. I really don't care what you do and I'll go along with whatever you tell them. Said Naruto before his stomach roared loudly. Let's get you something to eat before we discuss anything else. Said Hiruzen. 8 years later. Hiruzen sat behind his desk looking at the young man in front of him. The young man stood at 5'10" with lightly tanned skin, a lean but muscular frame, and shoulder-length spiky crimson-red hair. For clothes he wore black combat boots, black cargo pants with the image of a red centipede wrapped around the right leg and held up by a silver belt that looked like a centipede, a dark red sleeveless muscle shirt with the image of a snarling hyena on the front, and a white skull with a black centipede going in and out of the mouth and eye sockets on the back, black fingerless gloves. And his face was covered by a white mask with red markings designed to look like a centipede. His right forearm has the image of a centipede wrapped around it, while his left forearm has the image of a hyena head. He also had the standard Anbu tattoo on his upper right arm. This young man is Anbu Captain Centipede, currently Hiruzen's youngest and best Anbu operative. Take off the mask, Naruto, we have some things to discuss. Said Hiruzen. The now known Naruto took off his mask, showing that his smirking face had become more angular over the years as he placed the mask on his left hip. Hiruzen had signed Naruto up for Anbu almost a day after everything had changed, as he knew with Naruto's new abilities and eating habits that he would need the best training possible. What he didn't expect was for Naruto to take to Anbu life like a fish to water, mostly the assassination and interrogation missions. Naruto worked hard and quickly became a captain at age 12, with every mission he's taken being successfully completed. He mostly worked with Anbu Cat and Anbu Snake before they were later joined by Anbu Shark. While being one of the best, Naruto was also one of the most feared due to the fact that he usually made his target suffer before finally killing them, and he became twice as brutal if you pissed him off. Once while he was leading a mission, a simple extermination mission to take out a camp full of missing nin, a member of his team kept questioning his plans, leadership skills, and his orders. Needless to say, Naruto was pissed. He forced the whole team to watch as he savagely beat the questioning Anbu down and then threatened to eat him if he dared to do so again. He then proceeded to destroy the camp on his own while eating the ones he found had the most flavor. After that it became an unspoken law that you do not question Centipede, and when he gives you orders you fucking follow the orders. So old man, what's so important that you're calling me by my name rather than my code name? The council giving you crap again? Asked Naruto. Like you wouldn't believe. Said Hiruzen with a tired sigh. You know, if you just let me eat them it would get rid of some of your problems. Suggested Naruto. And create a list of new ones so no you can't eat them. Anyway, I called you here for a mission. I have reason to believe that one of the academy's teachers is a traitor for my former student Orochimaru. I want you to go to the academy and see if you can find anything, and if need be bring the traitor in or bring him down. Also I'm putting you on a genin team. Said Hiruzen. What? You're demoting me? Yelled Naruto, not at all happy about being demoted from Anbu to genin. No, well, sort of. I'm making you a genin, but it's also a mission. Do you know Sasuke Uchiha? Asked Hiruzen. Of course I do, he's the last surviving Uchiha after his brother went crazy and killed his whole clan save for his little brother. If I remember correctly you sent me on a mission outside the village so that I couldn't grab one of the bodies and snack on it, not cool by the way. I bet those Uchiha were tasty since they only ate the best kind of food. Said Naruto, though he grumbled the last part to himself. He then started to grumble about how he had to miss out on a feast because of mean old men. This made Hiruzen sweat drop. Naruto, please focus, Sasuke Uchiha has been deemed a flight risk, so I'll be placing you on his team in order to keep an eye on him. And no, you cannot eat him. If he tries to betray the village you are to capture him and bring him back to the village where we will milk him for as much of his sperm as possible, then you can eat him. Said Hiruzen. Very well, but I hope you don't expect me to change how I act just because a bunch of wet behind the ear genin might get offended. I'm the infamous centipede, I'll chew you up and shit you out, literally, if you piss me off," said Naruto. "Just try not to traumatize them too much, some of them are future clan heads, your mission starts tomorrow at team placements. Now with that out of the way, how's the family?" asked Hiruzen. At this question Naruto actually gained a true smile on his face, rather than his usual sadistic smirk. At only 16 years old Naruto had a wife, 2 girlfriends, and a child. Now while most would believe that Naruto was too young with too dangerous of a job to handle all of that, but he actually did a pretty good job of keeping his family happy. It helped that since he always finished his missions quickly he could be home for them, plus demon chakra and forced shadow clones were very helpful. "They're fine, I make sure they're happy and taken care of. In fact you should come visit sometime, my little one likes it when you visit," said Naruto. "She tried to eat my finger the last time I visited," said Hiruzen with a deadpan. "She's a baby, don't complain," said Naruto. Later that day. Naruto is currently walking down the street in the red light district toward his home. He had long since moved out of his old apartment into a rather nice house. As he walked down the street the people didn't glare or insult him, some said hi and others waved. This was mostly because Naruto pretty much owned the entire red light district, he had eaten all of the major gangs and drug dealers, and everyone pretty much knew that if you caused trouble in the red light, then Naruto would sink his teeth into you. After a couple of minutes he arrived at his house, a nice single story with 5 bedrooms, 2 1/2 bathrooms, a large kitchen that was open to the living room, and a pool in the large backyard. Opening the front door Naruto took off his boots and walked further into the house until he came into the living room and smiled upon seeing his wife and child. Michiraku Uzumaki was sitting on the couch playing with her daughter with a large smile on her face. AM had only grown more beautiful over the years, as she now stood at 5'6" with a slim figure, despite having had a child, her dark brown hair reaching the middle of her back, large D-cup breasts, long legs, and a nice firm ass. She's currently wearing black pants and a yellow t-shirt. Naruto and AM started dating when he turned 13, he married and turned her into a demonic ghoul like him at 14, and they had their daughter around the time he turned 15, they named her Hinami Uzumaki. Hinami looked much like her mother with her fair skin and brown hair, but she had her father's purple eyes. She was currently wearing a yellow dress with a matching bow in her hair. Baltucci wasn't too happy that his daughter got married and then had a baby while still very young, once he saw how happy she was with Naruto he quickly got over it. "Hey AM-chan, Hinami-chan, I'm home," said Naruto. Upon hearing Naruto's voice AM and Hinami turned to look at him. "Papa," squealed Hinami as she raised her hands to her father with a large smile on her face. AM simply smiled lovingly at her husband as she held the physical manifestation of their love. Naruto crouched down and held his arms out, seeing this Hinami wiggled out of her mother's hold and onto her feet before she started to waddle over to Naruto. Naruto smiled as his daughter walked to him in a way that showed she was still getting used to walking, he scooped her up in his arms when she made it to him and started kissing her cheeks, which caused her to giggle. "Welcome home honey," said AM as she kissed him on the lips. Just then another woman came out of one of the back rooms. She was rather short standing at just 5'2" with fair skin, black eyes, long crimson red hair that was down her back and done in a way that made it look like horns, a nice bubble butt and perky D-cup breasts. She was currently wearing simple black pants, a cream-colored shirt, bandages loosely wrapped around her neck, and a Konoha headband on her forehead. This woman is Amayuri Ringo, newest member of Konoha as Anbu Shark and Naruto's girlfriend. Naruto had found Amayuri while out of the village on a mission when he was 14, she was heavily injured after being betrayed by her apprentice and having her Kiba blade stolen. Naruto thought about simply eating her at first, but had to admit to himself that he thought she was beautiful, so he patched her up as much as he could before taking her back to the village for them to finish up. Once he got her back to the village and checked out by professionals they told him she had some kind of disease that was killing her and they couldn't even begin to think of a way to cure it. When she was well enough to move on her own she thanked Naruto for saving her and then tried to leave in order to get her swords back. Naruto tried to stop her by saying she wasn't well enough to leave, but she was stubborn and challenged him to a fight, if she won he'd let her go, but if he won she'd stay and rest a bit more. The fight between them was intense and really made Naruto work, in the end he won, but was impressed with how good she was even with a deadly disease and not being fully healed. After the fight Amayuri asked him about the abilities he used during their fight, he told her what he was, and instead of being sickened or fearful, she actually found it hot. Over the time she spent recovering in Konoha she and Naruto grew close, he had even convinced her to join Konoha, but only on the condition that they let her go back and finish the rebellion in Kiri. Hiruzen had agreed to this, but she had to stay with Naruto, Amayuri was perfectly fine with that as she found Naruto's sadistic side very sexy. Mayuri was actually the one to ask him on a date. He explained that he was going to have more than one woman in his life, and he was surprised to find out that she really didn't care about that. During their dating period her disease caught up with her and she was on the verge of death. It was then that Naruto told her that he could turn others into demonic ghouls like him. She quickly demanded that he turn her because if she was going to die, then she wanted to die in battle, not because of some shitty disease. After being turned, Naruto helped her train in her new abilities. At the end of their training, Mayuri was, if even possible, even more dangerous than she was before. She had even helped him take over the red light as training to control her hunger. She also liked it when her prayer ran from her. "Hey Nakun, how your meeting with the old fart go?" asked Mayuri. "Fine, he gave me a mission that involves me becoming a genin, so I'm not too happy about that," said Naruto while Mayuri snickered at him. "What are you doing here anyway? I thought you'd still be in Kiri helping out with the rebellion, not that I'm not happy to see you," asked Naruto. "I actually came back for some backup and was going to ask you and Anko to come with me, but with your new mission and all I guess I'll just ask Anko. Plus the leader of the rebellion sent me back to rest a bit due to all my hard work and the fact that some of her soldiers were getting sick of watching me eat," said Mayuri. Anko Mitarashi was Naruto's second girlfriend and the only other person he had turned into a demonic ghoul besides and Mayuri, more on her later. "Well, I'm sure you'll find Anko-chan at the T&I building torturing some poor bastard, you know how much she loves her job," said Naruto. "I'm resting right now, but I'm sure I can ask her when she comes home tonight. Until then I'll spend time with my man, my sister, and my cute little niece," said Mayuri as she kissed Naruto's cheek. Even though she wasn't married to Naruto, she still considered Anko and her sisters and little Hinami her niece. But that the night went on with Naruto spending time with his family. Later Anko would come home and join in their fun. After having fun and then eating dinner, it was time for bed. Later that night. Knock, knock, the sound of someone knocking on his door awoke Naruto from his sleep and he was already annoyed. For one, whoever was knocking on the door awoke him from a great dream, and two, the sound could have woken Hinami. It was almost impossible to get her to go back to sleep once she woke up. Knock, 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 the sound of knocking continued and Naruto found himself with a problem. He needed to answer the door, but his ladies had him pinned down. Was sleeping on his right, Mayuri was on his left, and Anko was on top of him. Hinami was in her crib next to the bed. Naruto carefully got his arms out of and Mayuri's grip before slowly moving Anko off of him, then stood up showing that he only wore a pair of black pajama pants. He then looked down at his girls. Wore a simple white nightgown, Mayuri only wore of dark blue lace panties, and Anko was completely naked. He would have stood there and enjoyed the sight them like this a bit longer, but he didn't want the knocking to wake Hinami. Walking to and opening the door, Naruto found a female cat mask Anbu waiting for him. "Cat, what the hell? You have a key to my place, so why didn't you just come in and wake me up? You could have woken Hinami," asked Naruto. "The last time I did that I walked in on you and Anko being intimate. I'm not doing that again. Anyway, Captain, Hokage-sama sent me to tell you that your mission has been moved up. The traitor has made his move and has stolen the forbidden scroll of seals," said Cat. "Are you fucking kidding me? I'm out of Anbu for barely a day and you lot let something like that get stolen. Once I get the scroll back I'm quadrupling training for everyone," said Naruto while Cat paled behind her mask. Naruto's training was brutal and everyone in Anbu knew he designed it just to hear their screams of pain. "Captain, it was Pig, Boar, and Badger that were on duty to guard the scroll," said Cat, trying to avoid having her training quadrupled. "Fine, only those three will have their training increased. Give me a minute to get dressed and then I'll join the hunt. You go ahead and start looking for the bastard," ordered Naruto. "Yes, Captain," said Cat before she jumped off to carry out her orders. She was glad her mask kept him from seeing the light blush she was now sporting, as she secretly liked it when the young captain gave her orders. Naruto went back into the house and got dressed in his usual gear, with the only difference being the mask he wore. This mask was made of metal, only covered the lower half of his face, and was designed to look like a grinning hyena with centipede pincers. It didn't take long for Naruto to find the scent of someone headed outside the village, so he quickly followed it so that he could get this over with and get back to bed. In the forest. A man of average height with fair skin, shoulder-length white hair, and black eyes wearing Konoha's standard chunin attire with his Konoha headband worn like a bandana, was currently running through the forest trying to leave the village. This man is Mizuki, former chunin instructor, and on his back are two large shuriken and the forbidden scroll of seals. Mizuki would have continued going if he wasn't stopped by a voice. "Mizuki, stop," yelled the voice belonging to Iruka Yamino. Iruka was an average-sized man with brown skin, black eyes, dark brown hair done in a fanned-out ponytail, and a scar going across his nose. He wore the standard chunin uniform. "Why are you stealing the scroll, Mizuki?" asked Iruka. "That's a stupid question, Iruka. I'm stealing the scroll for power, of course," For years now the Hokage and the Shinobi Council have denied me my rightfully earned advancement in rank, but now that I have the scroll I don't need them as I'll be unstoppable," said Mizuki. "Wow, you chose to be the generic bad guy stealing things for power, and here I was hoping you'd be original," said a voice from above them. Looking up they saw Naruto sitting on a branch higher up. "A demon," sneered Mizuki as no one had eyes like Naruto, dark purple, slit pupils, and a spark of insanity. "That's me, though if you're going to call me outside my name I prefer Centipede," said Naruto. "Please, you're nothing like Anbu Captain Centipede. You're just using his name to increase people's fear of you," said Mizuki. "Whatever helps." Iruka paled at hearing this. He, like pretty much everyone in the village, knew that Naruto had a child with someone, and he also knew that Mizuki had gathered some civilians and ninja in order to kill the child, Naruto, and the woman that birthed the child. Apparently that had failed and Naruto was still eating the people from the attack. Naruto never hid the fact that he was a cannibal, and from what Iruka knew from the Hokage, Naruto had unlocked a bloodline that gave him incredible power, but at the cost of becoming a cannibal. "You, that abomination, and whatever whore birth it all deserve to die. You're just monsters that shouldn't be in this world," said Mizuki with a sneer. "What you mean is we're not the right type of monsters," said Naruto. "What?" asked Iruka. "Oh come on Iruka, look at this man. He's betraying the village he grew up in and the people that trusted him for power, and because he thinks his skills weren't recognized, yet I who have been nothing but hated for my entire life by the majority of the village, haven't betrayed anyone. If you look at it a certain way then we're both monsters, the difference is I'm what you made me into and you are what you've chosen to be," said Naruto. "You know I plan to just take the scroll and leave, but I think I'll do the village one last favor and kill you," said Mizuki, but before he could move to attack in any way at all, Naruto appeared in front of him and buried his fist into Mizuki's stomach. "Sorry about the pain, normally I would have killed you, but I'm not in the mood and I want to hurry and get back home," said Naruto as Mizuki dropped to the ground. He then flared his chakra in a way that would signal the Anbu. "Alright Anbu will meet here in a moment, so I'll leave you to explain everything Mr. Iruka, bye bye," said Naruto as he jumped off. The next day. Iruka stood in front of his class and he was nervous as hell. After returning the forbidden scroll of seals to the Hokage, Iruka was informed that Naruto would be joining the graduating class. When Iruka tried to protest saying that it was unfair to allow Naruto to graduate since he never attended the academy, but here is encountered by explaining that Naruto wasn't in the academy because he was in Anbu, and at that point, Iruka remembered seeing the Anbu tattoo on Naruto's arm. Iruka had already announced all of the teams except for Team 7 because Naruto wasn't in class yet. Then the door opened and Naruto walked in like he owned the place, the only thing different about his outfit from last night being that he had a Konoha headband acting as a belt. The kids paled when they saw Naruto. Well, their parents didn't tell them about the 9 tails being sealed in him, they did tell the kids that he had a bloodline that caused him to eat people, now they were afraid that he was here to eat them. "Naruto, you're late, you were supposed to be here an hour ago," said Iruka. "Sorry, I had some personal things to take care of," said Naruto, and it was true as this morning he walked Mayuri and Anko to the front gate and wished them luck in the war. After that he walked Am and Hinami to the raiment stand before making his way to the academy. "Very well, take a seat," said Iruka. Naruto nodded, headed up to the last row of seats and sat down. "Anyway, since we have a shortage of students this year, Naruto will be filling in the last empty slot. With that, Team 7 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Uzumaki, with your sensei being Kakashi Haddock," said Iruka. He suddenly noticed that Naruto's Anbu tattoo was gone. "Iruka-sensei, how can Naruto graduate with us if he didn't attend the academy?" asked Sakura. Sakura was actually the most neutral to Naruto as her father would always tell her that he was a monster, while her mother would say he was misunderstood. Because of this, Sakura had decided to form her own opinion on him if she ever met him. "I trained outside of the academy, Hokage-sama acknowledges my strength, and since there was an open spot on teams this year, he decided to place me with this group," said Naruto, with Iruka confirming what he said. Naruto also glanced at Sakura's figure. She wasn't as busty as his wife and girlfriends, but she did have a fat ass and nice legs. Her forehead was larger than average, but he found it strangely charming, and he liked her bright emerald eyes and long flowing pink hair. Naruto blocked out Iruka's longest speech in order to take in his teammates, and he was not impressed. Sakura was cute, but he could tell she was a fangirl, since she was very skinny with very little muscle tone, and she wouldn't stop swooning at the Uchiha. Sasuke was exactly what he expected, a brooder. Just looking at the two, Naruto knew that if he didn't do something that they would make his job a lot harder. Time passed and Naruto watched as the sensei after sensei came and picked up their assigned team until only him and his team were left. So the rumors are true, he really is late to everything. Damn it, this is time I could have spent with Am-chan and Hinami-chan. Naruto thought to himself. Naruto had heard about Kakashi Haddock a lot during his time in Anbu, but it never worked with him. He just hoped that Kakashi made his job easier rather than harder. "Damn it, where is sensei?" yelled Sakura in frustration. "Haha, I'd get comfortable if I were you, Sakura, as our sensei is known for being late to everything," said Naruto with a light chuckle. She was cute when she was angry. "And how do you know that?" asked Sasuke. "I live in the red light district, you keep your ears open there and you'll hear some interesting things," said Naruto. "Why do you wear that mask?" asked Sakura. As of right now she couldn't see the raving monster that would kill her at a moment's notice like her father said. She decided to get to know him better in order to figure him out. "The village already sees me as a monster, I figure I'd give them something other than the face of an innocent young man to look at," said Naruto. "Is it true what they say?" asked Sakura. "Yes, it's true, due to my bloodline I gain incredible power, but I can't ever eat human food again. I can still drink water and coffee for some reason though," said Naruto. The incredible power part got Sasuke's attention. "Are you a demon?" asked Sakura, deciding to get straight to the point. "You know, I'm starting to really like you, you're not afraid to speak your mind and I find that sexy," said Naruto, causing Sakura to blush deeply at that. "To answer your question, yes, I am a demon, just not the one people think I am," said Naruto. "What did you mean by incredible power?" asked Sasuke. "You'll find out in time," said Naruto, not wanting to give away all of his secrets. 3 hours later. Sakura was pacing around the classroom in frustration at her sensei being so late. Sasuke was still brooding in his seat and Naruto looked to have fallen asleep with his hands behind his head and his feet up. In reality though, Naruto wasn't sleeping and was watching Sakura's ass. He really liked her ass. "God damn it, where is he?" yelled Sakura. At that point the door opened and showed a rather tall man with gravity-defying gray hair, fair skin, and a single black eye. He wore the standard Jonin outfit, a dark blue mask that covered the lower half of his face, and he wore his headband in a way that covered his left eye. "This man is Kakashi Haddock, sensei of Team 7. "Team 7? Asked Kakashi, knowing full well that this was his team. "My first impression of you is that I hate you all, meet me up on the roof in 5 minutes," said Kakashi before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto got up and went out the door with Sasuke right behind him and Sakura bringing up the rear. Once they made it to the roof, they sat down in front of Kakashi with Sakura in the middle, Sasuke to her right, and Naruto to her left. "Alright, let's start off with introductions," said Kakashi. "Why don't you go first, sensei, to show us how it's done?" said Sakura. "Alright, but pay attention. My name is Kakashi Haddock. My likes, my dislikes, I have lots of hobbies, and as for my dreams, well, I haven't really thought about it," said Kakashi. All we learned was his name. Thought Sakura and Sasuke at the same time. Naruto already knew all he needed about Kakashi, so he didn't care about the introduction. "Now then, it's your turn, so why don't you go first, Pinky?" said Kakashi. Sakura gave Kakashi a glare for the nickname before she started her introduction. "My name is Sakura Haruno. My likes are," looks at Sasuke and giggles, "I mean who I like is, does the same thing, my dislikes are Ino Pig and those that make fun of me. My hobbies are," looks at Sasuke and giggles in a creepy way, "and my dream for the future is," looks at Sasuke and squeals loudly. Everyone looked at Sakura strangely for that introduction, and Sasuke even scooted away a bit. "Oh, that's just great, a fangirl," thought Kakashi. Note to self, never be alone with her, thought Sasuke. Yelp, definitely need to do something about her being a fangirl, thought Naruto. "Okay, moving on, you're up, princess," said Kakashi. Sasuke simply grunted at the nickname before giving his introduction. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I don't really like anything, I hate a lot of things, and I don't have any hobbies. I don't have a dream but an ambition, I'm going to kill a certain someone and restore my clan," said Sasuke. "I see Hokage-sama was right to worry about him, though I should be able to help him," thought Kakashi. "Sasuke-kun is so cool," thought Sakura. "Yeah, I'm going to have to take him down sooner or later. I don't think I'll eat him though, as the last emo I ate didn't taste too good," thought Naruto. "Alright, and last but not least, you're up, Red," said Kakashi. Naruto, not caring about the nickname, simply shrugged and started his introduction. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like spending time with my family, training, centipedes, hyenas, and pretty girls. My dislikes are those that try to harm my family to get to me, those that try to control me, rapists, and those that can't tell the difference between a fox and a centipede. My hobbies include training and taking care of my family. My dream for the future is to simply find more women that can love me for me and rebuild my clan," said Naruto. "Wait, you have a clan?" asked Sasuke. "What do you mean find more women?" asked Sakura while thinking he's a pervert. "Wow, I'm actually surprised you two don't know," Anyway, yes, I have a clan, I'm actually the last known Uzumaki, and since I'm from a clan and have a bloodline, I'm part of the Kra, which means I need to take multiple wives in order to rebuild my clan and spread my bloodline. I already have one wife, 2 girlfriends, and a child. Sasuke, you should read up on the Kra since as soon as you awaken your bloodline you'll be put in it as well," said Naruto. "They can't do that," yelled Sasuke. He didn't want women and children weighing him down while he tried to kill his brother, they would simply be in the way. "They can and they will. You have a powerful bloodline, Sasuke, and Konoha is known for its love of bloodlines. I don't know why you're complaining as you just said you wanted to restore your clan, you do know you need women to do that, right?" said Naruto. "I'll rebuild my clan when I'm good and ready," said Sasuke. "Yeah, you will, but you'll have to be at least married by the time you're 18 or the council will choose wives for you, and if you don't have at least one child by 20, the council will take your ninja license and force you to have children," said Naruto, happy that he was safe from any of that since he was married and already had a child. Sasuke seethed at this information and Sakura was too shocked to say anything. No matter what she did she would have to share her Sasuke-kun. If she had known that from the beginning, then maybe she still would be friends with Ino since they both would get the boy they wanted. She was also shocked that Naruto already had a wife, 2 girlfriends, and a child. Sakura remembered her father saying that Naruto would grow up alone and unloved by anyone, but then one day he came home pissed and said something about demons having more than they deserve to have. Sakura frowned slightly at this as Naruto seemed fine to her so far, she'd have to get to know him better to fully understand why so many people saw him as a demon. "I'm surprised the council would want a bloodline like yours to spread," said Kakashi without looking up from his book. Naruto grinned widely under his mask before he replied. "The civilian council doesn't, but since it was a matter concerning a clan and a bloodline, they had no say in the matter. For the shinobi council only the Hyuga clan head didn't want my bloodline to spread, the other clan heads decided that the positives of my bloodline outweighed the negatives," said Naruto. "I see, well in any case you all are not official genin yet. The academy was just to see who had what it takes to take the real genin test, so be at training ground 7 tomorrow at 7 AM and don't eat breakfast since you'll just throw up," said Kakashi before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sakura was shocked at this information, Sasuke was mad but was sure he'd passed the real test as well, and Naruto simply shrugged and stood up. "Well, I'm going to head home to spend time with my family. I suggest being at the training ground 7 at 10 AM since he was late today, he'll most likely be late tomorrow, and make sure to eat breakfast, it's never good to go into battle on an empty stomach," said Naruto as he started to walk off. "HN," said Sasuke as he too started to walk off. "Sasuke-kun, you wanna go out on a date?" asked Sakura. "No," said Sasuke without even turning back to look at her. Sakura looked down in sadness before following her teammates. Chapter 2. The Centipedes Wave PT-1. The next day. Naruto walked into training ground 7 at 9:30 AM and the first thing he saw was Sasuke and Sakura, and from what he could tell, they had been here for a while. Naruto shook his head at this as it was clear they didn't listen to him, oh well they were fresh genin and of course they thought they knew more than someone they never saw in the academy. If they were tired from being here too early then most likely they didn't eat either, he would give them some of the food he has sealed on him, but he didn't think they'd like it. "Why are you so late, Naruto?" asked Sakura. "I'm not late, I told both of you that Kakashi-sensei is always late, so I came closer to the time he would really be here. Both of you are really early," said Naruto as he sat down under a tree. Sakura wanted to be mad, but she was too tired and she had to admit he had a point. She had researched her sensei yesterday when she got home and found out that Naruto was right about him always being late, the only reason she came early was to hopefully get some alone time with her Sasuke-kun, but he ignored her the whole time. 30 minutes passed and then Kakashi finally appeared in a swirl of leaves. "Good morning everyone," said Kakashi. He was met with silence as Naruto was just relaxing, Sakura was too tired to say anything, and Sasuke was very annoyed. "Well, the test is simply, all you have to do is get these bells from me before the timer goes off. Anyone who doesn't have a bell by the time the timer goes off will fail and be sent back to the academy," said Kakashi as he took out 2 bells and a timer. "But Kakashi-sensei, there are only 2 bells," said Sakura. "That is correct because no matter what one of you will be going back to the academy," said Kakashi as he walked over to one of the stumps and sat down the timer. "You can use any weapon you want along with any jutsu you know, you'll have to come at me with the intent to kill if you want to get a bell. Your test starts now," said Kakashi as Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura disappeared in order to hide. A few minutes passed and Kakashi was still standing in the middle of training ground. They've hidden themselves well and I can't even find Naruto," Kakashi thought to himself. But Sakura. Sakura was hiding in a bush watching her sensei and wondering how she was going to get a bell when suddenly a hand covered her mouth and pulled her further into the forested area. She wanted to scream, but then the one holding her spoke. "Don't scream, Sakura, I just want to talk," whispered Naruto as he slowly let go of her. Talk about what?" asked Sakura with a loud whisper. "Working together to get a bell from Kakashi-sensei," said Naruto bluntly. "But then Sasuke-kun will be sent back to the academy if you and I get the bells. I won't let that happen, me and Sasuke-kun are meant to be together, so I'm sorry Naruto, as you seem like a nice person, but Sasuke-kun and I are getting those bells," said Sakura. Naruto deadpanned at Sakura for a few moments before sighing and shaking his head at her. "Very well then, good luck with whatever plan you come up with," said Naruto before he started walking towards where Kakashi was still standing while he stopped concealing his chakra. It was time for him to show these two newbies how to really fight. Damn, that was a lot of Sasuke-kun in one sentence, Naruto thought to himself. Sakura watched as Naruto walked away from her and she was actually a little shocked that he didn't argue with her. After all, she did pretty much tell him that he couldn't be a ninja because she wanted to be with Sasuke. She actually felt a little bad about what she said now. He came to her for help, probably knowing that a fresh genin stood no chance against a jonin, and she turned him down simply because he wasn't Sasuke. Sakura decided that after the test she would apologize to him for what she said. She went back to her original hiding spot and watched as Naruto walked into the same field as Kakashi. But Kakashi was actually getting bored of just standing in one spot, waiting for one of his potential students attack him, but then he finally felt Naruto's chakra and saw him walk out of the forest with his hands in his pockets. "So one of them finally decided to confront me. I'm a little disappointed that they aren't working together, but I really didn't expect anything different," Kakashi thought to himself as Naruto stopped 10 feet away from him. "So you're going for a full frontal assault?" asked Kakashi. Naruto said nothing as he stared at Kakashi for a few moments before disappearing from sight. Kakashi looked around for Naruto until his senses kicked in and he looked up to see Naruto coming down with an axe kick. Kakashi jumped back to dodge the kick and he was glad he did because when Naruto's heel hit the ground, it cratered and cracked a bit. Your reflexes are good since most people die from my first attack. This might actually be some fun, so please entertain me if you can," said Naruto as he cracked his right index finger, like Kaneki and Yumori do, before he charged at Kakashi, who charged back at him. They clashed in a fierce exchange of taijutsu with neither of them giving the other any ground, though Kakashi was having a little trouble dealing with Naruto's style. Naruto's style was fast, flexible, precise, and powerful, a truly devastating style that Naruto used to the fullest. This is Naruto's centipede fist. Kakashi and Naruto continued to trade blows until Naruto finally caught a hole in Kakashi's defense and gave a strong palm thrust to Kakashi's ribs, which caused him to slide back from the force of the strike. Kakashi didn't get time to breathe as Naruto quickly closed the gap between them and sent a fist towards Kakashi's face, but instead of hitting Kakashi, he hit a log that Kakashi replaced himself with. The log shattered upon contact with Naruto's fist, so Kakashi was lucky he survived that attack. "Oh, so you actually managed to escape my last attack. It doesn't matter though because while you can run you can't hide from me," yelled Naruto as he started to sniff out Kakashi. But Kakashi actually shivered when he heard Naruto yell that. The tone in his voice almost sounded like a hungry animal ready to hunt down its prey. "I think I'll go and test the others and then come back to Naruto," whispered Kakashi in a nervous voice before he took off to find Sakura. "But Sasuke? How is he so strong? It must be because of his bloodline," Sasuke thought to himself after watching the fight between Kakashi and Naruto. But Sakura? "Wow, Naruto is actually pretty strong," Sakura said to herself. "Damn it, I should have just teamed up with Naruto in order to get my bell, and then I'm sure Sasuke-kun would have gotten a bell on his own," said inner Sakura. "Hey Sakura," a voice whispered behind Sakura. Thinking it was Naruto again, Sakura turned around only to see Kakashi with his hands in the ram seal. She then saw a bunch of leaves swirl around her before she blinked a couple of times and found herself alone once again. "Sakura, please help me," said a voice that Sakura recognized as Sasuke's. Turning to the voice, Sakura paled when she saw Sasuke leaning against a tree with multiple shuriken and kunai in his back, arms, and legs. "Please help me Sakura, please," begged Sasuke. Seeing this, Sakura did the only thing she could do. "I," screamed Sakura before she fainted. Once Sakura had fainted, Sasuke faded away with Kakashi taking his place. Maybe I should have used an E-ranked Genjutsu instead of a D-ranked one," said Kakashi with a sweat drop. He then substituted with a log that was quickly shattered by Naruto's fist. "Damn it Kakashi-sensei, stop running from me," yelled Naruto. "I'm sorry, did you say something?" yelled Kakashi from a long distance away. "The fact that you answered me means you heard me," Naruto yelled back. This time he was answered by silence. Looking down, Naruto placed his hand on Sakura's shoulder before he surged his chakra through her in order to wake her up. "You okay, Sakura?" asked Naruto. "Yeah, thanks," said Sakura with a light blush on her face. "No problem, now if you'll excuse me, there is a test to finish," said Naruto as he ran off to find Kakashi with Sakura following him. When they finally found Kakashi, he was standing over Sasuke, who was buried up to his neck. Sakura almost panicked until Naruto calmed her by telling her Sasuke was just buried. "Oh hello you two, I'm glad you could make it," said Kakashi with an eye smile before he quickly started to dodge attacks being thrown at him by Naruto. "I won't let you escape me this time, Kakashi-sensei," said Naruto before he jumped back and started going through hand seals. "Water style. Water centipede jutsu," yelled Naruto as his mask opened up and he spat out fast stream of water that took the form of a giant centipede. Kakashi was surprised by this but still managed to dodge the attack only to then have to block a kick from Naruto. He then grabbed Naruto's ankle and threw him away only for Naruto to recover in midair and land on his feet. Naruto flew through hand seals before throwing his hands toward Kakashi. "Lightning style. Lightning centipede barrage jutsu," yelled Naruto as a bolt of lightning shot out of each of his fingers before taking the form of centipedes and charging at Kakashi. Kakashi managed to dodge 7 of the centipedes, but the last 3 hit him in the chest, only for him to then crumble into dirt, showing that he was an earth clone. Naruto then jumped back just as Kakashi came out of ground and tried to use the headhunter jutsu like he did on Sasuke. But Sasuke and Sakura, both genin hopefuls, were watching in shocked silence as they watched Naruto fight Kakashi. Sakura was actually a bit ashamed of herself since she seemed to be the weakest member on the team. Sasuke proved to be the strongest during the academy and Naruto was showing that he was pretty strong despite not going to the academy. Meanwhile, she was taken out by a simple genjutsu and not even a high-ranked one at that. Sasuke on the other hand was seething on the inside. He wanted to know what made Naruto so strong, but from what he was seeing, Naruto was only doing things that a normal ninja could do, so there was no bloodline at work as far as he could tell. He needed this power, so he decided he would study Naruto's moves from afar and try to learn from them. But Naruto and Kakashi. Naruto had a bloodthirsty grin under his mask as he was really starting to enjoy this fight. Anyone in Anbu would tell you that when Naruto starts to enjoy a fight, that it was not good for Naruto's opponent. Naruto then created 3 sealess shadow clones, and all 4 of them started going through hand seals. Shadow clones, where the hell did he learn that? Thought Kakashi in surprise. Kakashi knew Naruto was a Jinchuriki, so he wasn't surprised that Naruto had the chakra to do it, he was surprised he knew how to do it. Fire style. Burning centipede jutsu, yelled Naruto clone number 1 as his mask opened and allowed him to spit out a giant centipede made of fire. Wind style. Great breakthrough, yelled Naruto clone number 2 as his mask opened and he blew out a strong gust of wind. The 2 jutsus combined together and formed an even bigger and stronger centipede that rushed towards Kakashi. Fire and wind combination. Infernal centipede jutsu, yelled clone 1 and 2 at the same time. Water style. Hyena pack charge, yelled Naruto as his mask opened and he spit out a torrent of water that turned into 4 large hyenas. Lightning style. Electromagnetic murder, yelled Naruto clone number 3 as wave of electricity came from his hands and supercharged the hyenas that then took off charging at Kakashi. Lightning and water combination. Hydroelectric hyena frenzy, yelled Naruto and the clone at the same time. He can use 4 different elements. Kakashi yelled in shock as no genin should be able to do that. He quickly ran through hand seals and used earth style. Mud wall in order to block the fire jutsu and then he started to dodge the hyenas. After a while Kakashi was finally able to take a breath as the jutsu had stopped jazzing him. Those were some pretty dangerous jutsus, Naruto, said Kakashi as he was seriously thinking that he might need to lift up his headband. Thank you, but now that we're warmed up, let's get started for real, said Naruto as Kakashi noticed that Naruto's right eye had changed. The white of his eye turned black with red veins going across the eye and into the skin around his eye, and his iris turned blood red. Kakashi wasn't the only one to notice as Sasuke and Sakura noticed too. Is that the bloodline he was talking about? What does it do? Sasuke asked himself in thought. So that's his bloodline, it looks kind of scary yet beautiful at the same time, Sakura thought to herself. Naruto cracked his right index finger and was about to charge at Kakashi but was stopped by the sound of the timer going off. Naruto's eye returned to normal and he took a relaxed stance with his arms crossed over his chest. Oh thank Kami, it's over, thought Kakashi in relief. Moments later the 3 genin hopefuls were sitting in front of 3 wooden posts while Kakashi stood in front of them. Well, you guys did your best but in the end you didn't manage to get the bells, said Kakashi. Are you sure about that? Asked Naruto as he held up the 2 bells surprising everyone else. But when? asked Kakashi. I got these during our first Jujutsu exchange, we were moving so fast that you didn't notice me snatch the bells. Said Naruto. Well, that's impressive, but now that you have both bells, what are you going to do with them? Asked Kakashi. That's simple, I'm going to give them to Sasuke and Sakura. They've been through the entire academy while I simply showed up, so I feel they deserve to be ninja. Said Naruto as he threw a bell to both Sakura and Sasuke. Sasuke had no problem taking the bell as he deserved to be a ninja more than anyone, but Sakura hesitated in taking her bell. In her head she went over everything that had happened during the test, she was ashamed to say that she hadn't done anything at all, and while Naruto had never been in the academy, he did better than even Sasuke. I can't take this, Naruto. You and Sasuke actually did something to get the bells while I got knocked out by a genjutsu. If anyone deserves to be ninjas, it's you and Sasuke. Said Sakura, not noticing that she didn't add the kun suffix to Sasuke's name. Sasuke was just fine with Sakura giving up her bell, that way he wouldn't have to deal with a fangirl, and he'd have more time to learn Naruto's moves so that he could kill Itachi. Well, in that case you all pass. Said Kakashi with an eye smile. This test was never about getting the bells, but about teamwork. I'll admit that I was a bit worried you'd fail when Sakura refused to work with Naruto and Sasuke refused to work with anyone at all, but it seems you pulled it off in the end. Said Kakashi. Hearing that her refusing to work with Naruto would have caused them to fail the test made Sakura feel worse about what she said to Naruto. She glanced over at Naruto and noticed how relaxed he was now. It was completely different from how he was during the test when he seemed ready to tear through their sensei just to get the bells. I want the three of you to remember this as I live by these words: those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their friend and comrades are worse than trash. With that said, meet me here tomorrow at the same time for our first mission as Team 7. Said Kakashi with a thumbs up. Sakura smiled and cheered at this. Sasuke smirked in arrogance, and you couldn't tell Naruto's reaction thanks to his mask. But that done, Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sasuke started walking towards the Uchiha compound, Naruto started walking towards Ichiraku's ramen to see his family, and Sakura stood there in the middle while trying to decide whether to go and follow Sasuke or to go after Naruto. If either of you want to celebrate being a team, then follow me. Said Naruto as he continued to walk. Sasuke paused at this for a moment before he turned and started to follow Naruto, as he decided that if he was around Naruto a little more, he could learn the secret to Naruto's power. Sakura sighed in relief at this, as now she didn't have to pick, so she quickly followed after Sasuke and Naruto. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen, his three advisors, and the Jonin senseis for the teams that passed had just finished watching Team 7's test, and all, except for Hiruzen and the hidden Yuga, were shocked at the results. It was then Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke while reading his book. Kakashi Haddock reporting that Team 7 has passed their test, Hokage-sama. Said Kakashi without looking up from his book. Very good, Kakashi, now tell me, what do you think of the team? Said Hiruzen. In all honesty, Hokage-sama, I fully expected this team to fail. From reading Sasuke's file to my brief exchange with him, it's clear that he has not only a superiority complex, but an inferiority complex as well, so being on a team with someone stronger than him will not sit well with him. Sakura may be strong in theory and book smart, but she's weak in anything practical, she's just a fangirl for Sasuke as of right now. And if what I heard was correct, she rejected Naruto's help simply because he wasn't Sasuke. Finally, there's Naruto, he might be too much of a wild card. He's very strong for someone who I can only assume is self-trained. Then there is the fact that he's difficult to read. He was calm and relaxed before the test began, but when we started to fight he was like an aggressive beast ready to tear me apart. Said Kakashi. Hokage-sama, are you sure it was wise to put that boy on a team? Asked Kurenai. She didn't like Naruto at all since she didn't like what he did to her friend Anko, and she definitely didn't trust him to be a ninja. Hiruzen knew this, in fact he knew that her and his own son Asuma thought the same about Naruto, and it greatly disappointed him, but he never did anything about them since they never actively harmed Naruto, plus Naruto could take care of himself. Yes, I'm sure, Kurenai, though you and many others don't like or trust Naruto, I'll have you know that I would trust Naruto with my life before I even consider trusting it to anyone else in this room. Said Hiruzen with nothing but conviction in his voice. So you trust that cannibalistic monster even more than me? That's low even for you, Dad. Thought a pissed off Asuma. Sure, him and his dad didn't have the best relationship, but what he just said really struck a nerve with him. Now with that said, I think I'll call an end to this little meeting. Said Hiruzen. Just a moment, Hiruzen, as you are the only one here with any insight into the Jinchuriki's mind, I feel we should continue watching the boy to be sure he is loyal to the village. Said Danzo. In truth, Danzo just wanted more information on Naruto because he saw Naruto as a very valuable weapon. He had even sent multiple groups of his root Anbu in order to either capture Naruto or his family, but each group never came back. First it's Hokage-sama to you, and the next time anyone in this room forgets that I'll have you executed on the spot. Second, he has a name, so I suggest you use it, and third, I know that Naruto-kun is at least loyal to me, because if I asked him to kill any of you, he'd do it while probably laughing about it. He's actually offered to kill you plenty of times, but I told him that the paperwork I would have to deal with because of it wasn't worth it. It's becoming worth it more and more every day," said Hiruzen while directing the last part at his advisors. Amura and Kaharu paled at this, while Danzo didn't show any emotion at all. Though on the inside he really didn't like that he was secretly threatened by Hiruzen, and without knowing the full capabilities of the Jinchuriki, he didn't know how to counter him. He'd just have to help his arm, and the Sharingans he had would be enough. "What will happen when you step down from being Hokage again or you die?" asked Asuma. "If I step down then everything will be fine, but if I die then I hope that the council picks the right person to become Hokage," said Hiruzen as he knew exactly what would happen if they made say Danzo Hokage. "What would happen, Hokage-sama?" asked Guy. "If the new Hokage tries to make Naruto into a weapon or harm his family in any way at all, I have full faith that Naruto will personally declare war on the village," said Hiruzen with his voice nothing but serious. This made everyone in the room widen their eyes in shock, even Danzo. "Why would you put someone like that on a team?" screamed Kurenai. "I let that little outburst slide this time, Ms. Yuhi, but I suggest you watch your tone. I put Naruto on a team because of what I just said. Growing up Naruto has had very little love or trust for this village, as the people in it treat him lower than dirt. Naruto currently only has a very small part of the village that he cares for, and that's the people in the red light district, his family and myself. As far as everyone else is concerned, he wouldn't give you a second thought if you died. With him being on this team though, Naruto will grow bonds outside of the red light and therefore be more inclined to protect the village as a whole," said Hiruzen. "What I just said was pure bullshit. If he does bond with anyone he'll just move them into the red light and then watch as the rest of the village burns." Hiruzen thought to himself. That information will be helpful in dealing with him during training, but I have to agree with Dasno Dono. I'd like to see more of Naruto's personal life so that I can get a better read on him as a person," said Kakashi, though he really didn't like agreeing with Danzo at all. "Very well then, let us watch," said Hiruzen as he activated his crystal ball once again. At Ichiraku's ramen. It only took a few minutes for the genin to reach Ichiraku's ramen, and once they walked inside, Naruto smiled behind his mask when he saw his father-in-law behind the counter and his daughter sitting on the counter smiling. Naruto then took off his mask and therefore showing his whole face to his teammates for the first time. Sasuke of course didn't care, but Sakura blushed at just how handsome Naruto was, and the whisker marks on his cheeks just seemed to make his appearance even better. "Appa!" squealed Hinami when she saw her father walk in. Naruto quickly walked over to her, picked her up, and started kissing her all over her face, which caused her to giggle. Hinami stopped giggling though when she saw Sasuke and Sakura. "Num num?" asked Hinami as she pointed at Sasuke and Sakura. No Hinami, they're not food, they're my teammates." "Sasuke, Sakura, this is my daughter Hinami, and the man behind the counter is my father-in-law Tuchi," said Naruto with a laugh. Sasuke simply nodded, a little disturbed that the kid thought of him as food, but otherwise not really caring. Sakura on the other thought that Hinami was adorable and quickly went over and started tickling her, causing Hinami to laugh loudly. "Hey Pop, was Hinami-chan good while I was gone?" asked Naruto. Tuchi smiled at his son-in-law while listening to his granddaughter laugh. "She was just perfect, my boy. I even got some big tips just because she's so cute. I need a cup of coffee up here," said Tuchi before yelling to the back. Naruto, with Hinami still in his arms, sat at the counter with his teammates, but since he knew neither of them had eaten anything, he ordered them both a small bowl of ramen. A minute later Am came from the back with a cup of coffee in her hand. "Alright dad, I got the coffee. Oh Naruto, you're here," said Am with a smile. She placed the coffee down in front of him since she knew it was for him and then leaned in and gave him a passionate kiss on the lips. Once they broke the kiss they noticed that Sasuke and Sakura were looking at them. "Oh right, these are my new teammates Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Sasuke and Sakura, this is my wife Uzumaki," said Naruto before picking up the coffee and taking a sip. Sasuke and Sakura just gaped at Am for a few moments. Sasuke thought she was beautiful as she clearly had a better body than the Kunoichi in his age group, with the only exception being Ino, but she was a useless fangirl in his mind. To Sasuke Am was beautiful, but since she was a civilian and therefore weak, she wouldn't be able to give him strong children after he had killed Itachi. Sakura though was jealous of Am's figure and her breasts. Sakura really wanted to know what Am did in order to get a figure like that. "Am-san, I just have to know, how did you get your figure when you've already had a kid?" asked Sakura. "Oh well, I don't really do anything special, I eat 3 meals a day and I train with Narukoi," said Am. "Wait, you train?" asked Sasuke now very interested. I sure do. My husband and my soon-to-be sister wives are all strong ninja, so I need to be strong in order to protect my family while they're away," said AM. Naruto smiled at AM as she always worked very hard when she trained with either himself, Anko, or Amayuri. Before they could continue talking, some big muscular guy walked in and was about to order from Tucci before he saw Naruto and Hinami. His face became that of disgust before he started saying all kinds of terrible things about how they should just die, how no one loved them, and that they were just freaks that didn't deserve to exist. He then took it further by making death threats to Naruto and even saying he'd tie Naruto down and force him to watch as he raped Hinami until she died from it. Hinami didn't understand what was going on, but the man was scaring her, so she started to cry. The moment a tear left Hinami's eye, Naruto and AM were pissed. Naruto was about to act, but AM moved quicker as she quickly appeared in front of the man, grabbed him by his neck and lifted him off the ground with one hand. Other than the great amount of strength that AM was showing, Sasuke and Sakura also saw that both her eyes had changed to match what they saw Naruto's right eye change to during the test. "You will not speak to my husband and my daughter like that again, and you will never step foot in here again. If I ever catch you here again or anywhere near my family, I'll tear out your heart and feed it to my child," threatened AM as her grip on his throat tightened. Her voice was so dark and demented that the man actually pissed himself in fear. Once the man started to turn blue from lack of air, AM let go of him, but then quickly performed a spin kick to his stomach and launched him out of the stand. "HN, worthless piece of shit," AM said to herself as her voice returned to normal, but her Kakugan remained activated. Everyone currently in the stand was from the red light district, so were used to seeing AM like this and didn't react, though they wanted to slit the man's throat for what he said about Naruto and little Hinami. Naruto and his family had made their area of the village safe for their own families, so of course they were loyal to Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura on the other hand were shocked. AM was just a civilian, and that guy was about twice her weight and taller than her, yet she treated him like he was nothing. She has the same bloodline as that loser Naruto. As a civilian, it gave her that much strength and speed, then what has it done for Naruto? I need to keep an eye on them and figure out how to make that power mine. Once I do, I'll kill Itachi, and then this AM will birth a new breed of powerful Uchiha. Sasuke thought to himself, not at all caring that AM was already married. He felt that she would leave Naruto and any other family she had simply because he was an Uchiha. She's so powerful and she's beautiful on top of that. She said she trains with Naruto, maybe I should ask him to help train me. Sakura thought to herself. Yeah, and while we're training we can get to know him better and see if he's boyfriend material, said inner Sakura. But what about Sasuke? Asked Sakura, still not noticing the lack of a suffix. What about him? He completely ignores us. I say we focus on Naruto. He's paid us more attention in 2 days than Sasuke has during 8 years in the academy, said inner Sakura. Well, you have a point there. I'll think about it as I don't want to completely give up on Sasuke yet, thought Sakura. Back in the Hokage office. Well, I think we've seen enough of Naruto's personal life, said Hiruzen as he deactivated the crystal ball. Hokage-sama, that woman just assaulted a civilian, we have to do something, said Kurenai. In case you forgot, Kurenai, that woman is a civilian herself and is a co-owner of that establishment, therefore it is up to her and her father on how things are handled within her business. If you wish to involve yourself in the matter then go ahead, but know this, you do not have my support and I cannot guarantee that you'll survive your encounter with a pissed off Naruto, said Hiruzen with a serious voice. He had seen the damage Naruto could do when pissed off and it was frightening. Why did that woman's eyes change and what was it? Asked Danzo. It's part of Naruto's bloodline, he calls it the Kakugan, and how AM has it is a clan secret, said Hiruzen. Why is it she had 2? Well, it seems Naruto only has 1, asked Kakashi. The ghoul bloodline, as Naruto calls it, comes in 2 main varieties. Regular ghouls have 2 Kakugan and are quite powerful as you have just seen, then there are one-eyed ghouls like Naruto, who only have 1 Kakugan, they are stronger than regular ghouls. Now that is enough about Naruto. If you wish to learn more about Naruto you'll just have to interact with him, said Hiruzen as he ended the meeting. 2 months later. Naruto and his team were currently escorting a bridge builder to Wave Country because after 2 months of D-rank missions, Sasuke had finally exploded and demanded a real mission. Naruto couldn't really complain since he used shadow clones to do the missions while he stayed at home with Hinami. The Hokage had given in and given them their first C rank. Looking at his team and had different reactions for each. With Kakashi, Naruto was disappointed. He only worked on their teamwork and he tried to force them to be friends. Knowing that Kakashi was a former Anbu but was teaching them things that should have been taught in the academy, Naruto felt greatly insulted being under Kakashi's command. But Sasuke Naruto has already decided that if Sasuke didn't get his head out of his ass, then he would enjoy breaking every bone in Sasuke's body before dragging him to be milked of his man juice. Naruto always saw Sasuke watching him, trying to learn what made Naruto so strong. Sasuke had even once been caught trying to watch Naruto when he was training on his own. Sasuke had even once demanded that Naruto teach him everything Naruto knew. Hell, Sasuke had even had Naruto brought before the civilian council so that they could force Naruto to teach him. Naruto simply brushed them off by saying that since this wasn't a civilian matter they had no power over him. He then left while giving them the middle finger. Sakura was the only member of his team that he had any positive feelings about. She had one day, after getting rejected by Sasuke again, came to him and asked for training. He warned her that it would be tough and he wouldn't hold back on her, but she accepted his training anyway. Looking at her now, Naruto could honestly say he had broken her of her fangirl ways and turned her into a real kunoichi. She still had plenty to learn, but she was already stronger than she was before. Sakura kept glancing at Naruto as they walked. After a full week of being rejected by Sasuke, she had stopped asking him out and asked Naruto to train her. He trained her hard and forced her off of all of her diets, and the results really showed. She was more confident in herself, her legs, arms and stomach were much more toned, her breasts went from an A cup to low C cups, her ass was bigger and firmer, and her style had even changed. She now wore calf-high black kunoichi boots, knee-length black tights, a short-sleeved tight red top that showed off her stomach with her clan symbol on the back, black fingerless gloves, and she now wore her headband around her right bicep, while her long pink hair was worn in a braided ponytail. During her training, Sakura had gained deep feelings for Naruto and asked him out on a date. She didn't expect him to say yes, but when he did she was greatly surprised. The date was simple, a picnic on top of the Hokage monument at sunset, but to Sakura it was amazing. Despite not being able to eat human food, Naruto had Teuchi teach him how to make good food off just smell and sight. Sakura loved the food and made sure Naruto knew it with constant compliments. After eating they just talked and got to know each other better. She learned that her own father was one of his main harassers, which upset her as Naruto was a really nice person once you got to know him, a sadistic slave driver during training, but nice all the same. She looked at Naruto and blushed a little with a small smile on her face when she remembered how the date had ended. Flashback. "Thanks for walking me home, Naruto, I had a great time," said Sakura with a smile. "No problem, Sakura, and I had a great time too," said Naruto with a small smile, which of course Sakura could see since he wasn't wearing his mask. I mean, come on, what wears a mask while on a date with a girl? Somewhere in the village Kakashi sneezes and gets snot all over the inside of his mask. "Naruto, why did you agree to go out with me?" asked Sakura while looking down. "Why wouldn't I want to go out with you?" asked Naruto. "I've gained weight, my breasts are small, I'm not that great of a ninja, and I have a large forehead," said Sakura as tears started to gather in her eyes. Her tears stopped though when Naruto placed his hand on her cheek and had her look at him in the eye. "First, you haven't gained weight, you've gained muscle and it looks really good on you. Second, breast size doesn't matter to me as I'd rather have a woman with small breasts that loves me for me rather than a large-breasted woman that only thinks I'm a monster. Besides, you have an amazing ass. Third, you've greatly improved in your ninja training, so don't worry about that. And finally, I don't see what's so bad about your forehead as I think it's charming, it makes me want to kiss it," said Naruto. Sakura was wide-eyed at the things that Naruto had said about her, especially the last part, as only her mother had ever called her forehead charming, not even her father had ever said anything nice about her forehead. Her eyes became even wider when Naruto actually leaned in and kissed her forehead. Sakura turned completely red at this, but when Naruto pulled back she lost control of her body and lunged forward and kissed him deeply on the lips. Naruto was surprised by this for a second, but then quickly returned the kiss while wrapping his arms around her waist. Surprisingly, it was Sakura to be the first to introduce tongue into the kiss, but Naruto quickly dominated her mouth with his, while she released light moans. Once they broke the kiss, Naruto had his smirk on his face and Sakura was breathing heavy while beet red. "Good night, Sakura-chan," said Naruto as he let her go and started walking away. "Good night, Naruto-kun," whispered Sakura though Naruto still heard her. Flashback end. After that they went out on several more dates and now Sakura was comfortable with calling herself Naruto's girlfriend. She had learned even more about him from her time with him, but she held no delusions that she knew everything about him, but she trusted that he'd tell her when he was ready. The only thing she didn't like about their relationship was that she could only be affectionate with him in the red light district so that her father didn't find out. She didn't know what her father would do if he found out she was dating the one person he hated most. Lucky for her though, she was able to tell her mother, who was very supportive. After walking for a while longer with Sakura asking the bridge builder Tazuna about his country, they passed a puddle. As soon as they passed a puddle, two figures wearing dark clothes, a single clawed gauntlet, each being connected by an shuriken-like chain and scratched out and horned Kiri headband came out of the puddle and tried to attack Kakashi, but instead found their chain pinned to a tree behind them by two kunai. Next time you guys want to sneak up on someone, try using a less obvious disguise," said Sakura with her arm extended, showing that she had thrown the kunai. Disconnecting the chain, the two men charged forward only to be met by Sasuke and Naruto. The one on the right was up against Naruto and took a swipe at him using his gauntlet. Naruto caught it easily with the spikes on the metal, not even scratching his skin. If it wasn't for Naruto's mask, the man would have seen Naruto's cruel smirk. Thanks to being a demon and his ghoul powers, Naruto's skin was so tough that normal weapons couldn't scratch him. Only by enhancing a weapon with chakra could you hope to cut him. With only a quick spin kick to the side of the head, Naruto knocked the man out. Sasuke on the other hand was still fighting with his opponent since he had to keep dodging strikes from his opponent's gauntlet as he noticed it was coated in poison. Naruto just watched as he knew Sasuke's personality and ego wouldn't accept the fact that he needed help. After another minute, Sasuke finally knocked the guy out but was still mad that Naruto finished before him. "Good job, team, you did very well in taking down this threat." These two are the demon brothers of Kiri, what are they doing here?" asked Kakashi after complimenting his team. "I believe they were after Tazuna-san. We're fresh genin, so they had no reason to come after us, and unless you had a run-in with them before then they also had no reason to come after you, Kakashi-sensei," said Sakura. "Excellent deduction skills, Sakura, and no, I haven't had a run-in with them before and only know of them from the bingo book. So Tazuna, you want to tell us why they were after you?" asked Kakashi. Tazuna sweated for a few moments before he caved and told them everything that was going on in his country and why he lied about the mission. "Well, protocol says that we turn around and let a more prepared team do the mission, but I'll let you guys decide what we do," said Kakashi. "We continue?" all three said at once. Sasuke because he saw this as a great way to test his power, Sakura because she wanted to help and put the skills Naruto taught her to use, and Naruto because he wanted to help, and if he got the memories of one more D-rank mission, he was going to eat the client, whether he was hungry or not. But that decided, they continued with the mission. After a quick boat ride they were walking through a forest until Sakura suddenly threw a kunai into a nearby bush. She then walked into the bush and came back out with a white rabbit in her arms and her kunai in hand, though the kunai did have blood on it. The fur on that rabbit is all wrong for this time of year," said Kakashi. Naruto then took a sniff of the air and found a familiar scent. "Not only that, but that rabbit is uninjured and the blood on her kunai smells human," said Naruto. "Are you sure about that, Naruto?" asked Kakashi. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura all gave him a deadpan look. "Are you seriously asking me of all people if they recognize the smell of human blood?" asked Naruto. Kakashi actually felt really stupid for asking that question now, because if anyone could recognize human blood, it would be the cannibal of the team. Just then Naruto heard something flying through the air. "Guys, get down," yelled Naruto as his Kakugan activated and everyone did as he said. Thanks to his Kakugan, everything Naruto saw seemed to slow down and he saw that a large butcher knife-like sword flying towards them. Timing it just right, Naruto reached up and grabbed the handle of the swords and redirected its momentum and threw it back to where it came. Everything was silent while Naruto deactivated his Kakugan and crossed his arms over his chest while waiting to see what would happen next. Everyone slowly got up and moments later a shirtless man appeared in the tree above them, using one hand to hold the same sword that was thrown at them across his shoulders. The man had a cut on his right shoulder. "That was impressive, kid, I didn't expect something like that from anyone," said the man. "Thank you, that's high praise coming from the demon of the mists Abusa Mamachi himself," said Naruto. "How do you know him, Naruto?" asked Kakashi. "Bingo book," Naruto said simply. Well, if it isn't Sharingan Kakashi. That explains why the demon brothers failed, but I have no business with you, so just hand over the bridge builder," said Zabuza. "Not a chance, Zabuza," said Kakashi as he lifted his head and showed everyone the Sharingan he had in his left eye. "Oh, I get the Sharingan right out the gate, I'm honored," mocked Zabuza. "So he has the Sharingan, but he's not in a cha," thought Sasuke. "Meh, I still think Naruto-kun's Kakugan is cooler," thought Sakura. "Damned it, if he's using that this early it means that he's slacked off in his training since he left Anbu and has become too dependent on the Sharingan," thought Naruto. Suddenly a thick mist appeared and Zabuza disappeared into it and flooded the area with killing intent. Naruto was fine with this and was in fact grinning under his mask. Sakura and Sasuke were different stories though. Sakura was shaking because even though Naruto has exposed her to killing intent during her training, but she knew she was nowhere near ready for something like this. She hoped that Kakashi or Naruto could handle Zabuza. Sasuke on the other hand was freaking out and was having flashbacks to the night his brother killed his clan. He had even taken out a kunai and was prepared to kill himself in order to escape the killing intent. "Sasuke, calm down and just breathe. I won't let anything happen to you guys," said Kakashi. "Don't be so sure of that, Kakashi," said Zabuza as he appeared inside the protective circle that Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto had formed around Tazuna. Before he could do anything he was impaled through the chest by Naruto's hand, only to turn into water a moment later showing that he was a water clone. He then appeared in front of the genin, only to have Kakashi put a kunai to his neck. "It's over, Zabuza," said Kakashi before Zabuza turned out to be another water clone. "You're right, Kakashi, it is over," said Zabuza as he cut Kakashi in half, but once again it was a water clone. Zabuza then quickly blocked a kunai strike from Kakashi. With that the battle really took off, and as it was going on Naruto was becoming more and more excited. It was getting to point that he was having trouble not activating his Kakugen. The fight soon ended with Kakashi being caught in a water prison and yelling for them to run. This was ignored as Sasuke rushed in like an idiot, only to be harshly kicked in his stomach and launched into a tree. This caused Naruto to sigh as he sent a shadow clone in order to get Sasuke, as it seemed he was having trouble getting up. "Sakura, watch Tazuna-san and make sure Sasuke doesn't do anything stupid." "I got this," said Naruto as he walked towards Zabuza, but not before smacking Sakura's ass. He really loved that ass. Sakura blushed darkly but nodded anyway. "You know, since we're out of the village we can do all kinds of naughty things to Naruto-kun," said inner Sakura. "Yeah," thought Sakura while getting a small nosebleed from the ideas running through her head. "So you're next to get your ass kicked, kid," said Zabuza. This only made the grin Naruto had under his mask grow as his blood was really pumping now. "What's the name of your sword, Zabuza?" asked Naruto. Zabuza raised a non-existent eyebrow at this, but answered anyway. "Her name is Kubikurabacho," said Zabuza. "That's a good name for her, and you are obviously skilled with her, so I know this is going to be fun. But since you have your dance partner out I might as well get mine as well," said Naruto. Holding up his right hand to Zabuza, the kanji for 13 glowed brightly on the palm of his hand before Naruto was covered in a puff of smoke. The smoke was blown away by Naruto twirling a large weapon around himself. Once Naruto stopped twirling the weapon it was revealed to be a square and jagged side with an L-shaped blade and a sharp tip. Everyone, including Tazuna, could feel the power coming from the weapon, and for Sasuke, who was still holding his stomach in pain, it made him desire the weapon for himself. "Zabuza, I'd like you to meet my dance partner, and her name is Juzu's Jason. Now then let's see who wins between the demon of the hidden mist and Konoha's demonic centipede," said Naruto as his Kakugen became full activated. He then cracked his left index finger and charged at Zabuza, who charged right back at him. Chapter 3. The Centipede's Wave PT2. The sound of metal hitting metal filled the air, and sparks flew as Naruto's and Zabuza's weapons clashed against each other. Naruto was having a lot of fun since it had been a while since he's had a good fight. Zabuza, on the other hand, was shocked that Naruto was keeping up with him, but was also starting to have fun. They then got into a blade lock with each of them trying to overpower the other. "You're pretty good, kid," said Zabuza. "Thanks, so are you," said Naruto. They broke the lock and went back to their deadly dance of blades, with Kakashi and Sakura watching in awe at the display of skill, while Sasuke watched in jealousy. Zabuza then jumped away from Naruto while going through a long series of hand seals quickly before finishing. "Water style. Water dragon missile," yelled Zabuza before water came out of the lake in the shape of a dragon and charged at Naruto. Naruto charged back at the dragon while pumping chakra into his scythe, which started to glow purple. "Poisonous slicer," yelled Naruto as he swung his scythe and fired a wave of purple chakra. The chakra wave actually cut the dragon in half and continued towards Zabuza, who managed to dodge the wave and caused it to strike a tree. Zabuza watched as the tree quickly turned green and began to decay and fall apart. He was really happy he chose to dodge that attack. He then quickly raised his blade to block Naruto's next attack. "Don't get distracted, Zabuza, you may just die because of it," said Naruto as he continued his assault on Zabuza. But Sakura stood there in awe at just how strong her boyfriend was to be fighting someone that was strong enough to beat their sensei. Though seeing how strong Naruto was caused two things to happen with her. First is that it caused her to realize just how much Naruto held back on her, even though he said he wouldn't, and it also made her more determined to get stronger. The second thing it did was really turn her on. She was actually rubbing her thighs together in order to try and relieve some of the heat building in her core. "Just take him into the bushes and fuck his brains out, cha," said inner Sakura. "No, I don't want to have my first time out in the open. After our first time together then we'll fuck in more exciting places," thought Sakura, with inner Sakura agreeing. Back with Naruto. Zabuza was getting concerned as he was starting to get tired, but Naruto seemed to have energy to spare. Deciding he needed to end this now, Zabuza managed to kick Naruto into a tree and then threw his sword like a spear while adding chakra to it. Naruto saw the sword coming and could easily dodge it, but instead he decided he would put the fear of Yami into Zabuza, though he knew Sakura was going to be pissed. The sword pierced Naruto through the chest and pinned him to the tree, causing him to drop his scythe and his body to go limp. Naruto! Screamed Sakura as she watched her boyfriend be killed, while Sasuke was only thinking about getting Naruto's weapon. Kakashi on the other hand seemed to be the only one that noticed that the shadow clone Naruto had made to watch after Sasuke hadn't dispelled with the supposed death of its creator. Zabuza let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, since he could finally take a break. His little break didn't last long as he heard something that will forever haunt his nightmares. Ha. Nicely done Zabuza, you actually managed to hurt me a bit, though I guess I should have warned you that I'm not that easy to kill. Said Naruto with a crazed grin under his mask. He then pushed himself off the tree with Zabuza's sword still going completely through his body. After pulling the sword from his body, everyone saw his wound instantly seal itself shut. Naruto couldn't help but grin at this, his natural healing factor as an Uzumaki, plus the healing factor he gained from being a Jinchuriki, plus the healing factor he gained from being a ghoul, plus the healing factor he gained from being a demon, all equaled up to one overpowered as fuck healing factor. Naruto threw Zabuza's sword back to him and then picked up his scythe. Now then, let us continue. Said Naruto as he charged at Zabuza once again. Sparks once again flew as Naruto and Zabuza clashed blades again, but this time it was clear that Naruto was winning. Then in a quick move, Naruto managed to cut Zabuza across the chest before delivering a harsh kick that caused Zabuza to crash against a tree. Zabuza tried to get up but quickly found that his body was quickly becoming weak and his vision was blurring. You poisoned me. Said Zabuza weakly. Of course I did, centipedes are poisonous after all. Said Naruto as he walked over to Zabuza. What are you? Asked Zabuza. Unlike you I'm a real fucking demon, goodbye Zabuza. Said Naruto as he raised his scythe up in order to deliver the final blow. Before he could though Zabuza was struck in the neck by senbon needles and his body went limp. Looking up into the trees where the senbons came from Naruto saw a masked mist hunter nin. You took my kill, I don't like it when people steal from me. Said Naruto. Sorry about that, but I've been tracking Zabuza for a long time now and once I saw the chance to take him out, I had to take it. Said the hunter nin in a neutral voice. Funny since you've been watching us fight from the very start. Naruto thought to himself. Next time be careful of who you steal from or they might not be as nice and kill you instead. Said Naruto as he sealed away Juizu's Jason. Meanwhile with Zabuza now presumed dead Kakashi was freed and made his way to shore. I'll try to remember that. Said the hunter nin as they moved to Zabuza's body and placed his arm over their shoulders. Oh and Hunter-san. Said Naruto getting the hunter nin's attention. I hope that the next time we meet it is on better terms, otherwise I won't be as merciful and kill both of you. Said Naruto before his Kakugen deactivated and his voice returned to normal. The hunter nin said nothing and simply took off with Zabuza. Though behind the mask they were incredibly shocked that Naruto had figured them out so quickly and yet still allowed them to take Zabuza. The hunter nin also hoped that they never had to fight Naruto again since it was clear he was really strong and the fact that he could heal so quickly from serious wounds was another thing to worry about. When they were completely gone Kakashi walked up to Naruto and patted him on the shoulder. Nicely done Naruto, though I must say I'm surprised by the level of skill you showed and not to mention that healing factor of yours. Said Kakashi. Stay tuned and you'll see a lot more than just that. Also we'll need to prepare for when Zabuza comes back with his little friend. Said Naruto. What do you mean? Asked Kakashi. That hunter nin was there from the start of our fight and didn't do anything about Zabuza until I was about to kill him. If anything the hunter nin is working with Zabuza so we need to be prepared for when they come back. Said Naruto. If you know this then why did you let them leave? Asked Kakashi while covering up his Sharingan. Simple, it wouldn't have been any fun to kill them both now. Zabuza now has a little bit of an understanding of what I can do so he'll be a bit more prepared for the next time we meet, thus making it more fun for me. Said Naruto. You have fun killing people? Asked Kakashi while being greatly worried. A little bit but I'm a demon what do you expect? Said Naruto walking away. Kakashi watched Naruto walk away with a calm face, but on the inside he was extremely worried. Naruto, what has our village done to you? Kakashi asked himself in thought. When Naruto made it over to Sakura he noticed a pissed off look on her face. Hey Sakura-chan, how are you? Naruto asked awkwardly. Hey a demonic ghoul he might be, but just like any man he had a healthy fear of women, especially angry women. Well Naruto-kun I'm pissed off. Said Sakura giving Naruto a dark look. You are in so much trouble, how dare you scare me like that we are going to have a long talk about this? Yelled Sakura. Yes, Sakura-chan. Said Naruto with his head bowed. Married life had really taught Naruto how to deal with a situation like this, you just keep your head down and agree with what they want. How'd you learn the secret so early? Tazuna asked himself in thought. Well, Tazuna-san, we should really said Kakashi before he passed out and was caught by Naruto. Well, it seems Kakashi-sensei is suffering from chakra exhaustion, he'll be out for a while, but other than that he should be fine in a few days. Said Naruto. In that case, can you please take us to your house, Tazuna-san? Asked Sakura with Tazuna nodding. And as punishment for scaring me like that, you can carry Kakashi-sensei, Naruto-kun, with no shadow clones. Said Sakura as she began to walk off with Tazuna. Yes, Sakura-chan. Said Naruto before looking over at Sasuke. You coming or do you want me to carry you too? Asked Naruto. Chan. Said Sasuke as he got up and started to walk after Sakura. Meanwhile in Konoha. Nanami was currently playing with her favorite ball outside of Ichiraku's ramen. Kept the flaps to the stand open so that she could keep an eye on her daughter. Up on a roof not too far away was an Anbu wearing a lizard mask that was watching Hinami. This particular Anbu didn't like Naruto and his family because he had lost his own family during the Kyuubi attack and blamed Naruto for it. He had been planning for a while now to take out Naruto and his family, but couldn't because Naruto was very strong and very protective of his family, but now that Naruto was out of the village, he was sure he could easily kill the woman and child. Moving quickly, he jumped down with his sword drawn ready to stab Hinami through the head, but he became confused when his blade hit the ground instead of the child. Looking behind him, he saw the child in the arms of her mother and the mother glaring at him with her Kakugan activated. You dare to attack my child, I shall feast on your heart. Said Am with a growl. I'm doing this village a service, you and your kind don't belong here. Said the Anbu before he charged at them. Am didn't move and instead smirked as four cream-colored petal-like appendages with red eye-like orbs in the center came out of her back and protected her and Hinami. What? Yelled the Anbu as he had never seen any of the demons do something like this. He was then smacked away and rolled across the ground until he was able to right himself and stand up. What the hell are those things? Asked the Anbu. Haha, there is more to the ghoul bloodline than you realize. Said Am. Just then a civilian that supported Naruto ran over, took Hinami into their arms, and ran into Ichiraku's where it would be safer. What the Anbu didn't know was that Naruto had already informed everyone that supported him what to do should something like this happen, which was basically get Hinami into the shop and let Am and his own security measures handle things. Well, now that my daughter is out of harm's way, let's get to the meal, shall we? Said Am before she charged at the Anbu that charged back at her. The Anbu kept swinging his sword at Am, but she kept using her Kagyun to block his attacks, or she would simply shift her body to dodge him. Thanks to her training with Amayuri, she was more than capable of keeping up with a sword user, especially since this guy was nowhere near as good as Amayuri. The Anbu was becoming increasingly frustrated that he hadn't landed a single hit on Am yet. He was an Anbu, damn it, and she was a civilian, he should have killed her by now. His attack suddenly stopped as he found Am's fist buried in his gut before she kicked him in the chest. He struggled to stand up as he saw Am slowly walking towards him with a smirk on her face. Just give up already, I have a job to do and you're no match for me. Said Am. I figured trying to kill a demon on my own was foolish, but I had to try, luckily I did bring backup just in case this happened. Said the Anbu before giving a signal and two more Anbu showed up, one with a cheetah mask and one with a mantis mask. Then all three of them started going through the same hand seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. All three of the Anbu yelled at once as they each fired a fireball at Am, with their attacks combining into one huge fireball. Am didn't move and simply used her Kagyun to surround herself in a protective shell and tank the fireball. Once the fire stopped, Am opened her Kagyun showing she was just fine, she wasn't even sweating. Is that the best you have? That's very disappointing. Said Am before she disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared behind the cheetah-masked Anbu. She sent her Kagyun at the Anbu and it wrapped around him and started to squeeze him. Ah! Screamed the Anbu as he started to feel his every bone in his body start to break. His screaming stopped when one of his ribs broke and punctured his heart. Am dropped his body without any care as she stared at the last two. Cheetah, damn you, yelled Mantis before he stiffened up, blood leaked out from under his mask, and he fell over dead. Standing behind him with an outstretched hand was a young woman about the same age as Naruto with fair skin, waist-length dark blue hair, pale lavender eyes with no pupils, an athletic but feminine build, long legs, thick thighs, wide hips, narrow waist, a juicy ass. And large DD cup breasts. For clothes she wore black Kanoichi sandals, ankle-length dark blue pants, an open heavy lavender coat with white fur on the cuffs and around the collar showing off her flat stomach, a dark blue bikini top that struggled to contain her breasts, and a black choker around her neck. This young woman is Hinata Hyuga and she has just killed the Mantis Anbu by exploding his heart. Hyuga-sama, why? Asked Lizard. Simple, you were attacking my future sister wife and I can't have that, so you and your comrades must die. Said Hinata with a cold edge to her voice. Hinata actually used to be a very shy little girl, but when she was around 5 years old, she was saved from some bullies by Naruto. Ever since then she's greatly admired him and always tried to thank him, but she was so shy that she couldn't even bring herself to talk to him, so she followed him around and watched him using her Byakugan. She was actually there when he was killed and was so scared that she could do nothing but watch as he was tortured and killed. She almost broke then and there, but the next day saw that he was still alive but different. She went back to watching him and saw everything he was doing in the red light. She saw how he was kind to those that were kind to him and brutal to those that hated him. Him eating people did disturb her, but she overheard her father talking about how a bloodline he awoke made it so he couldn't eat human food and could only eat human flesh, so she didn't blame him for it. Seeing this caused a change in Hinata as she vowed to be just like Naruto. She threw herself into her training and went from being a shy little girl that couldn't talk without stuttering and wore multiple layers of clothes to a confident young woman that wasn't afraid to show off her body and was desired by many men and some women. She was the sweetest girl to those she liked but completely brutal to those she didn't. Before the Anbu could say anything, Am shoved her hand into his chest and gripped his heart. "I told you I would feast on your heart," whispered Am before she roughly tore his heart out and then took a bite out of it. Lizard fell to the ground dead, having only lived long enough to see Am take a bite out of his heart. "Well, now that this little situation has been handled, what was that about me being your future sister wife?" asked Am as she returned to normal. "It is as I said, I've grown to greatly admire Naruto for his strength, confidence, and his kindness. I don't care what he eats or that everyone sees him as a monster, I want to be with Naruto-kun, and since I know he is part of the Kra, I plan to one day marry him," said Hinata. Am raised an eyebrow at Hinata before smirking at her. "Well, aren't you confident? You're strong too if you could kill that Anbu without flinching. That's the kind of women Naruto-kun needs in his life, but he also needs a woman with a kind heart," said Am. "My heart is only kind to those who deserve my kindness and Naruto more than deserves my kindness," said Hinata. Am stared at Hinata for a few moments before turning away from her. "Come with me and we'll talk about the possibility of you and my husband having a relationship," said Am. Hinata nodded and followed Am into the ramen stand. They soon went back outside in order to get the bodies. Hey, no reason to let perfectly good food go to waste. Back in Wave. Naruto and his team have just arrived at Tizuna's house, something that Naruto was happy about as Sakura had lectured him about scaring her the whole walk. "Tsunami, I'm home," said Tizuna after opening the door and walking in. After he said that, a woman came out of the kitchen and hugged Tizuna. The woman was beautiful with smooth fair skin, long dark blue hair, dark eyes, an amazing figure, wide hips, and D-cup breasts. For clothes she wore a pink blouse with a red collar, a dark blue ankle-length skirt, and blue sandals. "This woman is Tsunami, Tizuna's daughter." "Father, I'm so glad you're home," said Tsunami. "Well, it's thanks to these super ninja that I was able to get home safely," said Tizuna. "Thank you for bringing my father home safely," said Tsunami as she bowed to Team 7. "It was no problem, but do you have an extra room I can put our sensei in?" asked Naruto. "Oh, of course, follow me," said Tsunami as she led Naruto to one of the open rooms. After putting Kakashi down, they went back downstairs and Naruto sat on the couch with Sakura while Sasuke sat on the other couch. "Alright, here is how things are gonna work, Sakura and Sasuke, I want the two of you to check around the house and make sure this place is safe, and I'll have some shadow clones set up a perimeter just in case someone tries to sneak in. Meanwhile, I'm going into town to look around and see for myself what the situation is like," said Naruto. "Who died and made you leader, Dode?" asked Sasuke. "You wanna fight me for the right to be leader?" asked Naruto. "Maybe I did." Sasuke didn't get the chance to finish as Naruto quickly appeared in front of him and punched his lights out. "Don't challenge me, bitch, I'm way above your level," said Naruto. Naruto was then suddenly turned around by Sakura, who snatched his mask off and smashed her lips against his. He quickly returned the kiss and then pushed his tongue into her mouth while squeezing her ass. Sakura moaned deeply as she loved it when Naruto would play with her ass. Both of them completely forgot that Tsunami was still in the room. Said woman was currently blushing brightly as she couldn't take her eyes away from the young couple that was passionately making out in front of her. When Naruto and Sakura finally broke apart, Sakura's cheeks were bright red and she was breathing heavy. "That was for turning me on while you were fighting Zabuza and for being so hot when you knocked out Sasuke," said Sakura in a husky voice. "Well, thank you, but now you'll have to do what I asked on your own, plus you did that in front of Tsunami-san," said Naruto. Sakura's face quickly became even redder out of embarrassment for having pretty much dry humped her boyfriend in front of a complete stranger. "Sorry about that, Tsunami-san," said Naruto. "Oh, no need to apologize, I was young once so I understand," said Tsunami. "Please, Tsunami-san, from what I can see you're still a young and beautiful woman, and if anyone else tells you otherwise then they're either blind or stupid," said Naruto with a wink before he disappeared in a burst of speed to go check out the town. Tsunami blushed even more at Naruto's words as she moved a lock of her hair behind her right ear. "My, he sure is a charmer," said Tsunami. "Oh, that's nothing, you'll hear a lot more of that while we're here," said Sakura. "And you're okay with that? Isn't he your boyfriend?" asked a confused Tsunami. "Yes, he's my boyfriend, but there are special circumstances concerning him that I'm sure you'll find out about in time," said Sakura. This confused Tsunami even more, but she wrote it off as a ninja thing and left it alone. But Naruto. Naruto had been jumping from rooftop to rooftop for a few minutes now, and he was pissed beyond belief. In just a couple of minutes it was easy to tell who were the native villagers and who were Gato's men. Gato's men walked around like they owned the place with arrogant smirks on their faces, their pockets full of money, and they all seemed well fed. Those native to Wave on the other hand looked scared to be walking around, most of them were flat broke and living on the street, most of them looked like they were starving to death, kids were running around asking anyone they could for money or food, they were sick, they were wearing rags or trash bags as clothes. And worse of all, Naruto had heard a few women crying their hearts out in alleyways, as apparently they had just finished selling themselves in order to get enough money to feed their starving kids. "I'm gonna enjoy killing Gato so much that it's not even funny," Naruto said to himself. He wasn't going to stand for this, he had seen people in the red light suffer like this and had suffered like this himself for a time, and he wasn't going to allow a piece of shit like Gato to cause others to suffer like this. "No, leave my mommy alone," screamed the voice of a young child. Naruto hearing this quickly took off towards where he heard the voice and was prepared to kill whoever he had to in order to stop whatever was going on. Down on the street a young boy was being held at sword point by a man while his mother was being molested by another man right in front of him. The fact that this was being done in the middle of the street in front of everyone didn't matter as the civilians were too scared to do anything to try and stop this. The woman was in tears as the disgusting man holding her had one hand down her pants fingering her, his other hand was under her shirt groping her breasts, and he was licking her neck. Hadn't she and her son suffered enough ever since Gato took over? Apparently not, since she was about to be raped in front of her son. What made it worse was that she knew calling out for help was pointless as no one would do anything, so all she could do was cry. Well, what do we have here?" asked Naruto as he landed on the scene. "Who the hell are you?" asked the man holding the boy. "Yes, boss," chorused the shadow clones as they split up to do their jobs. Naruto was about to leave as well when he felt something on his leg. Looking down, Naruto saw the boy he had saved hugging his leg. "Thank you for saving my mommy," said the little boy. "You're welcome, kid, now go stand with your mom until I can get some food here," said Naruto as he patted the boy's head. The boy smiled and nodded as he ran back to his mom. Naruto jumped up to the top of a building in order to keep an eye on things. What Naruto didn't know was that there was another little boy in the crowd watching him with wide eyes. The boy had fair skin, dark eyes, and short black hair. For clothes he wore blue sandals, green overalls, a cream-colored short-sleeved shirt, and a cream-colored bucket hat. This boy is Inari, Tsunami's son. It wasn't long before Naruto's clones started to come back with people and food. Some of the people his clones brought back looked scared. Naruto couldn't blame them for that, as thanks to the memories he was getting from some of his clones, he knew that some of these people had seen his clones eating Gato's men. Well, these people have been through a lot, he doubted they've seen a person eaten alive. Their fear soon turned to gratefulness though as his clones quickly started to descale, cut up, cook, and distribute the fish they had caught. Naruto couldn't help but smile as he saw the big happy smiles of kids who finally had something to fill their empty bellies. Once everyone was fed and he got the memory of a clone telling that all of Gato's men in town were dead, he jumped down and was about to leave but was stopped by some of the villagers. They started to thank him profusely for what he had done for them and for getting rid of Gato's men. Then the woman he saved earlier walked up to him. "Excuse me, Mr. Centipede, but is it true?" asked the woman. "Is what true?" asked Naruto. "Well, there's a rumor going around that you're a ninja from Konoha and that you eat people," said the woman. Don't get her wrong, she was very grateful for him saving her and her son, but she had to think about his safety. Naruto stared at the woman for a few moments. Damn, rumors start and spread fast. Naruto thought to himself. Yes, I am a ninja from Konoha, my team and I were hired by the bridge builder Tazuna to protect him while he finishes the bridge. And I am a cannibal, thanks to a special power I have. I can't eat human food and can only survive off of human flesh," said Naruto. He figured he might as well get this out of the way now. Inari's eyes were even wider when he heard that this man was hired by his grandfather. He actually started to gain a little hope for his home, as he had just watched this man kill Gato's men like was nothing, plus he had apparently gotten rid of the rest of Gato's men. "What would you do when you get hungry?" asked the woman. "I believe I have more than enough to eat with all of Gato's men. Now if you'll excuse me, I have other business to get to," said Naruto before disappearing in a swirl of water. Just outside of Wave. Outside of Wave stood two figures that appeared to be women. The first one was rather short with long messy green hair, fair skin, green eyes, a slim figure, and CC cup breasts. For clothes she was wearing red heels, black stockings, a dark blue dress over a yellow sweater, and a wide belt around her waist. The second woman was of average height with long purple hair, fair skin, purple eyes, a slim build, and D-cup breasts. For clothes she wore hot pink heels, yellow stockings, a white dress with blue sleeves that showed a bit of her cleavage, and glasses with a red frame that only on the bottom half. The first woman is named Ito Yashimura, and the second woman is Rise Kamishiro, and both of them are ghouls. Ever since Yami had turned Naruto into a demonic ghoul they have been watching his life. Ito was impressed by Naruto's strength and his commitment to being a good father, not mention how he kept peace in the red light. Rise was impressed by Naruto's strength, his brutality, and the fact that he wasn't afraid of what he was. She would never admit that she liked how Naruto treated the women he was involved with. Both of them were impressed by Naruto himself, as he showed ghouls could be strong, brutal, and at times downright evil, while also showing that they could have kind sides to them. Ito often talked about how she couldn't wait to carry Naruto's child in order to help spread the ghoul race throughout this world. Rise didn't mind carrying Naruto's child, but she wanted to wait a bit longer. Both of them found it funny though that Naruto named his child after a ghoul from their time. "Well Rise, are you ready to meet the new one-eyed king?" asked Ito. "Yes I am, and from the smell of this he's already spilled quite a bit of blood in that town," said Rise getting excited. She wondered how these humans would taste as the ones in her time didn't have chakra, she wanted to know if chakra would change their tastes. From what Yami-sama has told us this country is being oppressed by a tyrant named Geto, who is causing this place to suffer greatly. Having suffered himself Naruto-kun doesn't like the idea of good people suffering and tends to act extremely brutal to those who cause suffering for no reason. "I believe we're for quite the show once we meet him," said Ito. "I hope so, watching him be so brutal always gets my motor running," said Rise. "Me too," said Ito. "Well everyone, there you have chapter 3, I hope you liked it. This chapter we have seen Naruto fights Abusa, AM and Hinata deal with some Ryujanbu, Naruto start to clean up Wave, and Ito and Rise appear on the scene. For those of you that don't like Hinata either because of her character or because you feel she is overused, I'm sorry but she is in the harem and I'm not changing that. If you left the story before reading this part then oh well. Hinata's character will be greatly different in this, think her RTN personality pushed to the max. She's confident not arrogant and to those she doesn't like she will be totally ruthless and unforgiving and as you saw will have no problem killing people. Chapter 4. The Centipede's Wave Finale. It's been a few days since Team 7 made it to Wave and currently we see Naruto sitting under a tree with Sakura sitting in his lap and they're making out. Over the past couple of days Team 7 has been training for the day when Zabuza would come back for another try at Izuna, well Sasuke and Sakura were training for that. Kakashi had finally decided to teach them some useful stuff, but it turned out to only be tree walking, since Naruto and Sakura already knew how to do that. Naruto took to training Sakura himself. Other than training, Naruto made sure to have clones patrol the town to make sure that Geto's thugs didn't come back. He also helped Tsunami around the house, while also flirting with her. Speaking of Tsunami, when her son Inari had come home and saw Naruto there, the kid was overjoyed that the one that was fixing their town was staying with his family. Naruto was surprised that the kid didn't seem to mind that he ate people. Tsunami had freaked out at first, because who the hell wouldn't, but she calmed down when Naruto explained everything. Another thing that surprised Naruto about the boy was that he noticed Naruto flirting with his mom and actually encouraged it. This greatly surprised Tsunami that her son was actually okay with her dating someone else. She was secretly happy about this as she was attracted to Naruto. Naruto and Sakura finally stopped making out and she cuddled into his chest while he held her close. "Naruto-kun, I want to tell you something," said Sakura. "What is it, Sakura?" asked Naruto. "Well, I didn't really eat ramen a lot growing up and I didn't really know you all that well. I do remember seeing you around the village and I know AM didn't have the same bloodline as you," said Sakura. "I see," said Naruto. "What happened, Naruto? What really happened to you?" asked Sakura. "Are you sure you want to know? It may change how you feel about me," asked Naruto. "I'm sure, Naruto-kun, and I promise nothing you tell me will change how I feel about you," said Sakura. Naruto sighed before telling Sakura everything. He told her how he was an actual demon, thanks being killed when he was younger and being brought back by Yami. He told her how he has actually died multiple times. He told her of his Jinchuriki status. How Yami would pull him into hell every now and again to train him in something, and how he turned Am, Amayuri, and Anko into ghouls like him, but Hinami was truly born the way she was. In fact, the only things he didn't tell her was his parentage and his Anbu status. He decided that information should wait till later. In the end Sakura was holding on to him tightly as she cried into his chest. Well, it was a lot to take in. What she really focused on was the fact that he was just a normal child but was forced to become a demon because of the village's cruelty. It was then that a terrifying thought entered her mind. She was in debate with herself if she wanted to make her thoughts known or just keep them to herself, but in the end she decided to voice her thoughts. "You've come into contact with both of my parents, haven't you?" asked Sakura. "Yes, your mother is one of the few civilians that was kind to me before I became a demon. She would bring me food whenever she could and show me places to hide for when the mobs would chase me. She always said she wished she could do more, but I told her she was doing enough," said Naruto. Sakura smiled at her mother's actions before frowning and asking another question. "And my father?" asked Sakura. "Are you sure you want to know?" asked Naruto. "Yes, I need to know," said Sakura. "Very well, your father is personally responsible for 6 of my deaths," said Naruto, shocking the hell out of Sakura. She couldn't believe that her own father had actually killed her boyfriend 6 times, though on the other hand, with how much he hated Naruto, it really shouldn't have been a surprise. "I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun," said Sakura. "Don't be, you didn't do anything wrong," said Naruto. "Can you turn me into a ghoul, Naruto-kun?" asked Sakura. "I can, but that is a big decision, so really think about this. I can't change you back if you change your mind later," said Naruto. He had said the same thing to Amayuri and Anko before he turned them. "I understand, I'll think about it a little more, but for now I need to get some more training in," said Sakura before giving one last kiss, then getting up and going to train. "Alright, you two can come out now," said Naruto. At that point Rise and Ito came out of their hiding spots and stood in front of him. Rise the binge eater and Ito the one-eyed owl, hahaha. When Yami-chan said she was going to be reviving ghouls to lend me a hand, I wasn't expecting for her to give me some real heavy hitters. "So care to explain why you've been watching me for the last couple of days?" asked Naruto. "Well, I wanted to meet you right away, but Rise insisted that we should watch you for a while, just to be sure you're like Yami-sama showed us," said Ito. "And?" asked Naruto. "You don't disappoint," said Rise with a smirk. "Though why haven't you just killed Gato and gotten this mission over with by now?" asked Ito. "Simple, without Gato's Abusa has no reason to fight me, and I can't have my fun simply taken away from me like that. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find people with a skill level to entertain me?" said Naruto. "I understand that, plus if this mission ended too soon you wouldn't be able to flirt with that MILF," said Rise. "There's that too," said Naruto. "Well, with Rise and myself here I'm sure we can entertain you, Naruto-kun, so what do you say the 3 of us take out Gato?" said Ito. You know that's a good point, the 2 of you would be way more fun, so we'll take out Gato tonight. I hope you girls are hungry because I hear he has a bandit army of at least 200 men," said Naruto with a smirk that Rise and Ito mirrored. "Oh, so you're taking us out to dinner, what a gentleman. I'm really going to enjoy carrying your child," said Ito. "Well, I need to keep my ladies happy, besides this gives me time to get to know you two a little better. I mean, having information about you dumped into my head is one thing, but actually talking to you is another," said Naruto. "We feel the same way," said Ito. Konoha. AM was sitting in a nice little coffee cafe with Hinami in her lap, and sitting across from them is Hinata. Ever since they had their little talk they've made an effort to spend time together in order to build a real friendship, and so Hinami could get used to being around Hinata. The 2 of them found that they got along rather easily and quickly became friends, plus it helped that Hinami seemed to really like Hinata. Due to spending so much time with Hinata, AM felt she could really trust the girl with her husband and allowed Hinata to continue calling her her future sister. "So Hinata-chan, how was your training for today?" asked AM. "It was alright, though I wish Kiba would stop asking me out and that Kurenai-sensei would stop trying to baby me," said Hinata. "Your sensei is babying you, why?" asked AM. "Kurenai-sensei has known me for a very long time, ever since I was that shy little girl in fact, and I guess over time we developed a sisterly bond. Or at least I developed a sisterly bond. I think she might have come to see me as her own daughter, but now that I'm becoming a woman, she seems to refuse to see me as more than just that little shy girl she used to take care of. If I had to guess I would say she purposely asked for me to be on her team just so she could keep the image she has of me in her head intact," said Hinata. "But that's stupid. You're a ninja now, legally an adult, and she is tasked with preparing you for the struggles a ninja will have to deal with, but it seems she's not doing her job. If you want I can help train you with the training regimen that Naruto-kun made for me," said AM. "That would be really helpful, thank you AM-chan," said Hinata. "It's no problem Hinata-chan, now let's get back to the stand as I'm sure my dad needs my help by now," said AM. Hinata nodded at that and they took off to the raiment stand. When they got there they saw that AM was right as her dad was being overwhelmed with customers. "Oh my, Hinata-chan, do you mind watching Hinami for me while I help my dad?" asked AM. "Of course I don't mind, AM-chan," said Hinata as she took Hinami from AM. Hinata and Hinami set off to the side and played together while AM worked, though out of the corner of her eye, Hinata noticed her sensei and her sensei's not-so-secret boyfriend sitting in a corner watching AM closely. Hinata really didn't like this as she knew her sensei didn't like Naruto at all, so therefore she had no real reason to be here. She would have continued watching her sensei, but Hinami demanded her attention and she just couldn't deny the little angel. A while later Hinata noticed Kurenai and Asuma moving towards the counter. Once things had calmed down, knowing nothing good could come from this, she prepared to move if she had to. "AM-san, could you tell me where Naruto is?" asked Kurenai. "He's on a mission outside the village with his team, I don't know when he'll be back," said AM. "Then can you tell me where Anko is?" asked Kurenai. "She's in Kiri with Amaori fighting in the civil war, I don't know when they'll be back either," said AM. "I see, well then I guess I'll just have to ask you, why are you hanging around my students so much?" asked Kurenai with narrowed eyes. "Is that what you're here about? If you must know, Hinata has shown interest in my husband and we were spending time together to see if she was worthy of starting a relationship with my husband," said AM. "Stay away from Hinata," said Kurenai. "I'll have you know that she sought me out, I didn't go looking for her. Also you should really mind your own business, Hinata is an adult now and I doubt she would be happy about you going behind her back and messing with her love life," said AM. "As her sensei, it is my business, there is no love life between her and that monster and I'm not going behind her back," said Kurenai with a snarl. AM looked at Kurenai sharply with her Kakugan activating. "Watch how you talk about my husband, you'll find that while it's dangerous to do that in the red light, it's even more dangerous to do so in front of me. And you really don't consider this going behind her back? Hinata-chan, do you consider this going behind your back?" asked AM. "Yes, AM-chan, I do consider this going behind my back," said Hinata. Kurenai quickly turned at the sound of Hinata's voice, she was so focused on AM that she hadn't noticed Hinata at all. "Hinata, what are you doing here?" asked Kurenai. "I was simply spending some time with my future sister, I never expected to find you here trying to destroy my relationship before it even starts," said Hinata. "Hinata, I know you've had a crush on Naruto for a while now, but you have to understand that he isn't good for you. You need to let go of this crush before it ruins your life," said Kurenai. "It's not a crush, sensei, I love Naruto-kun and that's not going to change just because you don't like him," said Hinata. "Love? Please kid, you haven't even been in a single relationship yet, you don't know anything about love. Just listen to your sensei, little girl, she's just trying to keep you from becoming a monster," said Asuma, finally stepping in. "Oh please, we're nowhere near the monsters you make us out to be," said AM. "You eat people and openly called yourselves monsters," yelled Kurenai. "I never said we weren't monsters, I said we're not as bad as you make us out to be. The worst thing about us is that we eat people and that's not something we can control, plus it's not like we're eating random people off the street, every person we eat has either attacked us or they were scumbags," said AM. "Don't try to spin this in your favor, you turned my friend into a monster," said Kurenai. "I guessing you're talking about Anko, she asked to be turned, so don't go blaming us for her decisions. Besides, we told her the consequences of becoming like us and that she needed to think long and hard on this decision, in the end she still wanted to be like us, so we granted her wish," said AM. "You two should leave now before there is trouble," said AM. "Is that a threat?" asked Asuma with narrowed eyes. "No, it's a promise, now leave, I won't tell you again," said AM. Kurenai and Asuma glared at AM for a bit before leaving the raiment stand, with them gone some of the civilians that were in the stand left as well, in order to inform the rest of the red light district that Kurenai Yuhi and Asuma Sarutobi were enemies of the Uzumaki family. "I'm so sorry about that, AM-chan," said Hinata. "It's alright, Hinata, besides they'll both get what's coming to them. I also find it funny that your sensei is a Jinjutsu specialist but can't see the illusion her boyfriend puts up around her," said AM with a smirk while her voice and eyes returned to normal. "What do you mean?" asked Hinata. "Oh, Asuma is cheating on her," said AM. "Really, how do you know?" asked Hinata. "I know because he's cheating with a girl that lives in the red light, in this family we know everything that goes on in our territory," said AM. Hinata didn't know what to do with the information she just got. On one hand, Kurenai was like a big sister to her and she didn't want her to get hurt just because Asuma was a cheating bastard, but on the other hand, Kurenai made it clear that she hated Naruto and wasn't going to stop insulting him and his family. Heaven. Yami sat in her chair in her sister's domain of heaven, around her were some of the other gods, but mostly those that weren't too busy to show up for this little meeting. It was a few minutes before Kami finally walked into the meeting room. Kami was a beautiful woman standing at 5'9" with smooth fair skin, golden yellow eyes, waist-length flowing golden blonde hair, an amazing figure, long legs, wide hips, a narrow waist, a plump ass, and E-cup breasts. For clothes she wore an ankle-length high-collared white kimono dress with golden accents, and on her feet were golden heels. "Thank you all for coming, I've called you here to discuss a matter of great importance," said Kami in a very smooth and elegant voice. "What could be so important that you called an unscheduled meeting, Kami?" asked Susanoo, the god of storms and war. Susanoo appeared to be a young man standing at 6'4" with lightly tanned skin, stormy grey eyes, short messy black hair, and an athletic build. For clothes he wore black boots, black baggy pants, a short-sleeved grey shirt, and over all of it was dark blue samurai-like armor. "Yami here has stolen my chosen champion," said Kami with anger now clear in her voice. "Wow, that is a very serious offense, Yami." Tsukiyomi, the god of the moon and illusions. Tsukiyomi appeared to be a young man standing at 6'0" with fair skin, shoulder-length white hair, grey eyes, and an athletic build. For clothes he wore a long-sleeved white robe with black trim, cuffs, and a black crescent moon on the back. "Hey, I didn't steal anything from her, he was already dead, and I simply brought him back as my champion before Shinigami-kun could do it," said Yami. "If he was dead before all of this happened, then why are we here talking about this?" "Well, the laws state that we can't steal each other's champions, they become free game once they die and if their soul hasn't moved on," said Jashin, the goddess of blood, pain, and carnage. Jashin appeared to be a beautiful young woman standing at 5'9" with caramel brown skin, red eyes, long blood red hair that she kept in a ponytail that went down to her ankles, long toned legs, wide hips, a narrow waist, a firm ass, a flat and toned stomach, black snake tattoos wrapped around her arms, and D-cup breasts. For clothes she wore no kind of footwear, black tight pants that stopped an inch under her knees, a red tube top that hugged her breasts, and black fingerless gloves. "Kami-chan is just mad because not only did she lose her champion, but I turned him into a demonic ghoul as well," said Yami. "Ooh, that explains a lot actually, Kami absolutely hated the ghouls when they roamed the earth and was really happy when they died out. Of course she would be upset that you brought them back into existence and stronger than they were before," said Susanoo. "Well, they're not back completely yet, I've assigned my champion to repopulate the ghoul race by either turning others into demonic ghouls or by having children with multiple women. I'm happy to say that he has already turned a few people and has a child," said Yami. "You've ruined everything I had planned, Yami." Naruto was supposed to be a beacon of light in the darkness, showing that everyone, no matter how far they've fallen into the darkness, can be forgiven and brought back into the light. He was supposed to save the world and bring peace, he can't do that now that he's a bloodthirsty monster that doesn't care about anyone," said Kami. "Hey, don't talk about Naruto-kun like that, he's nowhere near as bad as you're making him out to be," said Yami. "Then why don't you show us what he's like?" said Tsukiyomi. Yami nodded to this and projected Naruto's life for everyone to see, starting from when he was first born all the way up to now. When it was all over, the gods had different reactions. Tsukiyomi and Susanoo just looked at Kami with a deadpan, Yami smirked, Jashin was drooling, and Kami looked away with a huff. "After seeing the events in young Naruto's life, I don't see anything worthy of us returning him to his original state," said Tsukiyomi before disappearing in a flash of light. "I feel the same way, so I'll be leaving as well," said Susanoo before he too disappeared. "This isn't over yet, Yami," said Kami. "Oh, I'm sure it's not, but there isn't much you can do as I'm perfectly within my rights to do as I please with my champion. Now don't you have paperwork to do?" said Yami. "And you don't?" asked Kami. "No, I don't, not since Naruto-kun gave me the secret to beating paperwork," said Yami with a smirk as Kami stormed out of the room. "I know what you're doing, Yami, and I want in," said Jashin. "What do you mean?" asked Yami. "Don't play dumb with me, Yami, I can clearly see that Naruto isn't just your champion. You're grooming him to be your future husband and king of hell," said Jashin. "Hahaha, of all the gods other than my mother, you've always been able to read me, Jashin-chan, and just how do you want in on my Naruto-kun?" asked Yami. "I want him to be my husband and champion as well, watching him cause so much carnage was a huge turn on, and I know he'll only get stronger as he gets older," said Jashin. "Don't you already have a champion?" asked Yami. "You mean that idiot Haiden? Don't even get me started on how big of a disappointment he turned out to be. I gave him one job, sacrifice dark and twisted souls to me so that I could feast on them. That idiot somehow got it into his head that any soul would do so he's been sacrificing anyone he sees. You have no idea how disgusting an innocent soul is, it's like asking for a delicious well-cooked steak and getting a bowl of uncooked bread dough instead," said Jashin. "Then why don't you just tell him he's doing everything wrong and take your blessings back?" asked Yami. I can't, he's become so corrupted that I can't even speak to him anymore and my blessings are stuck with him until someone manages to kill him," said Jashin. "Oh, I'm sure my Naruto-kun can take care of killing this fool, you just leave everything to me," said Yami with a smirk. But Naruto. After introducing Ito and Rise to everyone and explaining that they were ghouls like him, everyone was sitting down and having dinner. Sakura was sitting on Naruto's right and Tsunami was sitting rather close to Naruto on his left. Rise and Ito were sitting across from Naruto with Sasuke and Kakashi on either side of them. Inari was next to his mom and Tazuna was at the head of the table. "Naruto-kun, is everything alright, you're not eating?" asked Sakura. "Everything is fine, Sakura-chan, I'm just not that hungry right now," said Naruto. Sakura's gut was telling her that he was lying and if there was one thing Naruto taught her during training it was to trust her gut. "Naruto-kun, can I talk to you upstairs for a minute?" asked Sakura. "Sure," said Naruto before they both got up and went upstairs. "Alright, what's going on, Naruto?" asked Sakura once they closed the door to their room and put up silencing seals. "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "Don't play dumb with me, Naruto-kun, you taught me to always trust my gut and right now my gut is telling me that you're up to something," said Sakura. "I've taught you too well, Sakura-chan. Fine, if you must know, Ito, Rise, and I are going to end this mission by killing Gato and his men," said Naruto. Sakura looked at Naruto with a deadpan as she wasn't surprised at all that he was doing something like that. "When are you leaving?" asked Sakura. "You're not coming," said Naruto. "Why not?" asked Sakura. "Because while I have faith in you and your strength, I know you're not ready for something like this. It will be your first kill and fighting 200 plus bandits is not the best time to get your first kill," said Naruto. "Well, what if you made me a demonic ghoul like I asked you?" asked Sakura. "Well, you being a ghoul in this situation would be helpful. I don't feel you've had enough time to think about it and it still wouldn't be safe for you. After being turned you'll be ravenous and unable to control your new abilities and new body," said Naruto. "Fine, just promise me you'll be careful," said Sakura. "I promise, Sakura-chan," said Naruto. He then smirked as an idea came to him since they were in a sealed room. Moving quickly, Naruto pushed Sakura up against the wall and kissed her deeply while groping her ass and breasts. Sakura moaned as Naruto dominated her mouth and groped her body. She didn't know what brought this on, but she wasn't going to complain. Once she had cleaned off her face, Sakura stood up and pulled up her panties and tights. Naruto did the same with his boxers and pants. "Sorry, Naruto-kun, I would love to lose my virginity to you, but I don't want my first time to be in someone else's house," said Sakura. "You don't need to apologize, Sakura-chan, it's your first time and it should be everything you want, so I'll wait until you're ready," said Naruto. Sakura smiled at Naruto and gave him a quick kiss on the lips. "Thank you, Naruto-kun, you're the best boyfriend a girl could ask for and despite what you say I want to be a demonic ghoul like you and the others. I'm 100% sure about this as I don't want to be with anyone other than you," said Sakura. Naruto stared at her for a few moments before bringing her into a hug. "Very well, Sakura-chan, I'll make you into a demonic ghoul once we have the time to do it safely, but for now let's go downstairs," said Naruto. Sakura nodded to this and they went downstairs. "Well, you two were up there for quite a while, is everything alright?" asked Kakashi. "Yeah, I was working on making it up to Sakura-chan for scaring her with the whole Zabuza thing," said Naruto, knowing that he actually was still in trouble for that. "You're still in trouble for that?" asked Kakashi. "Of course he is," said Sakura, Tsunami, Ito, and Rise at the same time. "You never scare a lady like that, especially your girlfriend or wife," said Tsunami. Before anything else could be said there was a poof of smoke in front of Naruto and when the smoke cleared there was a long purple centipede there. "Toxin, what are you doing here?" asked Naruto. "Hello, Naruto-sama, Mistress Anko asked me to inform you that she and Mistress Amayuri have finished their mission in Kiri and will be coming home soon enough. Also they know that you're on a mission in Wave and want to inform you that if you happen to run into a man called Zabuza, you should tell him that the new Mizukage, Mei Terumi, wants him to return to Kiri," said Toxin. "Ah, that's great news and I've already ran into Zabuza, but I'll be sure to give him the message the next time I see him," said Naruto. "I'm surprised he survived the first meeting with you, Naruto-sama," said Toxin. "Well, I didn't think it would be very fun if I killed him too soon," said Naruto. "Yeah, that sounds about right for you, well anyway, I'm off, Naruto-sama," said Toxin before disappearing in a puff of smoke. "I didn't know you had a summoning contract, Naruto," said Kakashi. "I have 2 contracts, one for centipedes and one for hyenas," said Naruto. "Well, I can understand you having the centipede contract, but why the hyena contract?" asked Kakashi. "What most people don't know is that hyenas are cannibalistic, so they're the perfect match for me," said Naruto. For the rest of the night dinner went as usual with Tsunami being bright red through most of dinner due to Naruto's flirting, thought she would flirt back every now and again. Now though almost everyone was asleep with Kakashi still recovering from his chakra exhaustion and Naruto himself tucking in Inari. Ito and Rise were waiting outside for him, so he headed for the door but was stopped by someone. "Naruto-kun, where are you going?" asked Tsunami while standing behind him in a bathrobe that really hugged her body. "I'm going with Ito-chan and Rise-chan to go take care of some things," said Naruto. "What are you really going out to do, Naruto-kun?" asked Tsunami. Naruto was about to tell her the same thing, but the pleading look in her eyes stopped him and caused him to sigh. "I'm going out to put an end to Gato and his thugs, the sooner he's dead the sooner everyone can stop being scared that he'll pop up and ruin everything again," said Naruto. Naruto had noticed that despite his clones constantly patrolling and everyone looking happy, they were still scared that Gato and his thugs would come back to terrorize them again. "Well, Tsunami-chan, you really know how to motivate people, don't worry, I'll be back before you know it," said Naruto before giving Tsunami one last kiss, then heading outside and putting on his mask. Outside, Ito and Rise looked at him with anticipation as they were ready to feed on some fools. "Alright ladies, let's get to work," said Naruto. It didn't take long for Naruto, Ito, and Rise to find Gato's base, which seemed to be set up in some old mansion. His thugs surrounded the place, and they could guess that there were many more inside protecting Gato. Now most of the time this is where you would make a plan on how to get in without being seen in order to kill the target as quietly as possible. This is not what is happening here, as the three ghouls had decided to smash everything, kill everyone, take whatever they wanted, and save anyone Gato might have locked up. "Alright Rise, since you were so eager to try what this new human flesh tastes like, why don't you go first and enjoy yourself?" said Naruto. "Why aren't you the gentleman, Naruto-kun? I think I'll take you up on your generous offer," said Rise with a vicious grin, and she walked out of their hiding spot and went towards the guards at the front gate. Rise's natural beauty quickly captured the attention of the men and caused them to let their guard down. Rise gave them a beautiful little smile with her eyes closed before speaking. "Hello boys, I seem to be a little lost and I'm terribly hungry, do you think you can help me?" asked Rise. "Oh, don't worry sweetie, we can help you out and I'm sure we have plenty for you to eat," said guard number 1 with a perverted smirk on his face. "Oh, I'm sure you do," said Rise as she opened her eyes showing her Kakugan. This had effect of freaking the guards out, and in that moment of fear Rise struck by ripping out guard number 1's throat with her teeth. She savored the taste for a few moments before swallowing. "My oh my, that was delicious. I had no idea chakra would make flesh taste so good," said Rise with blood running down the corners of her mouth. Guard number 2 was so scared that he couldn't even move, not that it mattered as he was impaled by 2 red scaly tentacles that came from the back of Rise's waist. But the 2 guards dead, Naruto and Ito came out of hiding and stood beside Rise with their own Kakugan activated as well. "Well, how did they taste, Rise?" asked Ito with her voice being dark and demented. "The flavor is amazing, a 100x better than what humans tasted like when we were first in this world," said Rise. "Careful ladies, not every human will taste good as I've had a couple that tasted rather disgusting. Oh, and make sure to leave a couple of these guys alive, Sakura wishes to become like us, so I'll need some of them to feed her," said Naruto. Sure, he could feed her with some of the flesh he keeps sealed on himself at all times so that he doesn't need to worry about going hungry on long missions, but he needed to get her used to hunting live meals. "Very well Naruto-kun, now let's get this meal started," said Rise. Ito's room. Ito was short fat man with pale skin and grey hair. He wore a tacky suit and black glasses and currently he's cowering in his room because about 40 minutes ago he was told that 3 people had broken into his hideout. Now at first he thought these people were fools to come here, so he ordered his men to kill them. He was sure his personal army of thugs could handle the job, but then the screaming started. He heard his men scream in pain and terror about how monsters were tearing them apart and eating them. It just made him even more scared, so he activated the room security system which bolted the door and windows shut. With Naruto. Naruto was walking down a hall with 4 red scaly tentacles waving behind him dripping with blood. It had been a while since he had let loose and actually used his Kagyun for something other than training. Ito and Rise had split up as soon as they entered the building. He didn't know what they were doing, but he guessed that it was brutal due to the screams he could hear coming from the directions they went. He had already made some clones and had them take and seal away anything that looked valuable. Hey, he might not really need any of the money for real, but Wave could certainly use it. He also had them seal up some of the people they ran into in special scrolls that were meant for transporting live but injured people. It wasn't long before Naruto came to a big metal that was keeping him from the master bedroom. Guessing that Gato was hiding behind the door, Naruto decided that the door had to go. Using his immense strength, Naruto easily tore the doors down and walked into the room. It didn't take long to find Gato's cowering form. Please don't kill me, I give you whatever ahhhh. Yelled Gato as Naruto's Kagyun impaled him through his arms and legs before lifting him into the air. You will give me nothing because I plan on taking everything I want. Said Naruto before taking a bite out of the man, he then quickly spat it out and started gagging. Holy shit, you taste horrible, I've tasted some pretty nasty people before, but you are like literally biting into a piece of shit. Complained Naruto before a fifth tentacle came out of his back, but this one was sharpened like a sword and it quickly removed Gato's head before throwing the body off to the side. With that done, Naruto tore the room apart looking for anything else of value until he found a large wall safe hidden behind a huge painting of Gato. Minutes later, Ito and Rise walked into the room covered in blood but with content smiles on their faces. We're done, Naruto-kun, and I must say that Rise was right as those men were very tasty, though we did leave some of the alive and simply sealed them away into those scrolls you gave us. Said Ito. Ito also surprisingly didn't have any prisoners. Said Rise. That's good to hear, I've killed Gato and raided his personal safe, so we're done here and can go back to the house. Oh, and we'll collect the scrolls from my clones that I ordered to take anything of value. Said Naruto with Ito and Rise nodding. Later. Naruto, Ito, and Rise returned to the house and they were completely clean due to Naruto using a water jutsu to wash off the blood and a fire jutsu to dry them off. They were careful not to wake anyone up as they made it inside. From there, Ito and Rise went to the room Naruto was sharing with Sakura while Naruto made his way to Tsunami's room. Once there, he carefully opened the door and found Tsunami peacefully sleeping under her covers. He then got undressed until he was naked, placed a silencing seal on the wall, and slipped into the bed behind Tsunami while wrapping his arms around her waist. You can stop pretending to be asleep, Tsunami-chan, I know you're awake. Naruto whispered into her ear. Tsunami opened her eyes but didn't turn to face Naruto. I guess I should have known I couldn't fool a ninja. Said Tsunami. Don't sell yourself short as you were actually doing really good, most genin and some chunin would have thought that you were really asleep. Said Naruto while kissing along her neck, causing Tsunami to moan in approval. Naruto-kun, before we go any further there are some questions I want to ask you. Said Tsunami. Ask away. Said Naruto. If we're going to be together, would I have to become a demonic ghoul like you? Asked Tsunami. No, it would make things easier for us, but it's not required. Said Naruto. What do you mean it would make things easier for us? Asked Tsunami. Well, for one thing, my lifespan is a lot longer than a normal human's or even in Uzumaki's lifespan. To put it into perspective, I'll still be around and looking young when Inari's grandchildren have grandchildren. Another thing is that should we ever decide that we want to have a child together, it will be harder for us to conceive, and if we do, the child growing in you would be half ghoul, meaning it'll need the nutrients of human flesh or else it will be stillborn. Said Naruto. Good night, honey. Said Tsunami. Next morning. Tsunami woke up feeling amazing as she absorbed the warmth of her lover, who had his arms wrapped around her. She also noticed that her stomach felt really warm and stuffed, then she remembered that she had him sleep inside of her, so the warmth was most likely his trapped sperm and his cock was the reason she felt stuffed. Deciding that she could use a little more sleep, Tsunami closed her eyes in order to go back to sleep. This did not work, however, because at that moment she heard knocking at her door. Mom, are you okay? You've been sleeping for a long time. Asked Inari. Looking to the clock next to her bed, she saw that it said 11:24 a.m. I'm fine, Inari-kun, I was just really tired and slept in. Said Tsunami. She was glad he didn't just barge into the room as she really didn't want to explain why she and Naruto were naked in her bed. Oh okay, but do you know where Naruto might be because none of us can find him? Asked Inari. Naruto-kun is in here with me, sweetie. Said Tsunami with a smile. Really? Asked Inari in surprise and a bit of hope in his voice. Yes, now go back downstairs, Naruto-kun and I will be there in a little while. Said Tsunami. Inair said okay before she heard his footsteps heading back downstairs. Turning her head slightly to her lover, Tsunami found herself looking into Naruto's purple eye before he leaned in and gave her a deep kiss. Good morning, Tsunami-chan, I hope you slept well. Said Naruto. Good morning, honey, I slept very well. We should probably get and take a shower since we slept in today. Said Tsunami. Fine, but you do know that in order to do that I'll have to pull out, right? Asked Naruto. I know, but you can just put it back in later. Said Tsunami. You're just a naughty little MILF. Said Naruto while kissing her neck. I'm your naughty MILF. Said Tsunami. But that Naruto pulled out of Tsunami and the two of them got ready to take a shower, though they found out that Naruto would have to carry Tsunami since her crotch was sore and her legs were numb. Once they finished showering together, Naruto got dressed while also helping Tsunami get dressed before he carried her downstairs. When they got downstairs, everyone's jaw dropped when they saw Naruto carrying Tsunami bridal style well, except for Ito and Rise who just smirked and Inari who had a wide smile on his face. Mom, does this mean? Asked Inari. Yes sweetie, Naruto-kun here is your new dad, or at least he will be when we get married," said Tsunami. "You do plan to marry her, right?" asked Tazuna with a hard look on his face. Despite knowing that Naruto could easily kill him if he wanted to, Tazuna wasn't going to just sit back and let his daughter get taken advantage of. "Of course I plan to, Tsunami-chan is an amazing woman and I look forward to her being the next Mrs. Uzumaki someday," said Naruto, causing Tsunami to smile and snuggle further into his chest. "Yeah, woo-oh hoo-oh," cheered Inari before blinking as something came to his mind. "Wait, does this mean I have more moms too?" asked Inari. "Well, technically yes, but no one is going to force you to call them that if you don't want to," said Naruto. "You know honey, you've told all of us some things about your family back in Konoha, but do you have a picture you can show us?" asked Tsunami. "Sure, I always carry a picture of my family with me," said Naruto while unsealing the photo and showing it to everyone. In the picture was Naruto in the middle holding Hinami, Am on his right, Anko on his left, Sakura on Am's right, Mayuri on Anko's left, and Hiruzen and Tucci standing behind everyone smiling. This picture had been taken right after Sakura had officially became his girlfriend. "Isn't that your village's leader in the back, honey?" asked Tsunami, noticing the Hokage robes. "Yeah, but he's like a grandfather to me, so I had him be in the photo. This also means that when this mission is over, Tazuna has to come back to the village to be in the next photo," said Naruto. "Fine, but I'm not paying to escort it back home," said Tazuna, already figuring that Tsunami and Inari would be staying with Naruto. Later that day, Naruto was relaxing on the couch with Tsunami while the rest of Team 7 were training since Tsunami was still too sore and numb to walk on her own. Ito and Rise were around since they decided to explore the town a bit. They didn't have worry about getting hungry since Naruto gave them scrolls full of human flesh. Azuna was resting in his room and Inari was watching Sakura train since he found her training much more interesting than what Kakashi and Sasuke were doing. It was moments later that there was a desperate knocking at the door. Naturally, Tsunami tried to get up and answer the door, but Naruto stopped her. "Wait, Tsunami-chan, they don't smell like Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura-chan, Ito-chan, Rise-chan, or Inari-kun. In fact, they smell like Zabuza's little helper," said Naruto. "What do we do, honey?" asked Tsunami while being a little scared, though she calmed down a bit when Naruto gave her a comforting kiss. "Just let me handle this since I know why they are here," said Naruto with a smirk before getting up and heading to the door while putting on his metal mask. Once he opened it, he saw a beautiful young woman with fair skin, long dark brown hair, deep brown eyes, and he really couldn't make out her figure due to her clothes. For clothes she wore her hunter nin outfit minus the mask. "Hello miss, how may I help you?" asked Naruto. The girl quickly grabbed Naruto by the neck and started to squeeze, though Naruto didn't really feel it. "You will cure the poison you put in Zabuza-sama," yelled the girl with hard eyes. "Okay," said Naruto simply. "I will force you if I have." "Wait, what?" asked the girl. "I said I'll fix Zabuza. I actually need you and him alive now, so I was going to have to cure him anyway," said Naruto. "And why exactly do you need us alive?" asked the girl. "Because the Kiri civil war is over with the rebels winning and the new Mizukage wants Zabuza to return, and since you're his partner or whatever I had assumed you would go with him," said Naruto. "The civil war is over?" asked the girl in disbelief. "Yes, it's over," said Naruto before making a shadow clone to look after Tsunami while he started walking to where Zabuza's hideout was located. It didn't take long for Naruto and the girl to reach Zabuza, and when they did, Naruto saw that Zabuza's condition was terrible. He was very pale, sweating, breathing heavy, shivering, and clearly in a great deal of pain. "Wow girl, you really fucked him up," said Naruto. "My name is Haku and I didn't do this, you did," said Haku. No, I didn't. You see, the poison I used was special in that it makes those inflicted with it makes you feel weak for about a week before leaving your system. The special part is that if you try to cure it without the right antidote, then it gets worse and lasts longer. In your haste to heal Zabuza, you actually made him worse," said Naruto. Haku paled at this before looking at Naruto. "Well, don't tell me about it, fix him," said Haku. "Fine, just get me a bucket," said Naruto. Haku quickly ran off, then came back with a bucket and a look of confusion on her face. Naruto took the bucket, then put a purple pill into Zabuza's mouth and forced him to swallow. A moment later, Zabuza shot up and Naruto gave him the bucket, which he started to throw up purple sludge into. "The pill I gave him will force all of the poison out of his system and cause him to throw it up. Once he's done, make sure to set the poison on fire so that you or anyone won't come into contact with it. Oh, and since you and Zabuza can go home now, you should know I've killed Gato, so you don't have to work for him anymore. When Zabuza feels better in a few days, come to the house and I'll give you the money he owed you," said Naruto before disappearing in a burst of speed. 2 weeks later. The last 2 weeks had been rather peaceful for Team 7. They spent most of their time either training or watching Tazuna build the bridge. Well, Naruto did that, but he also spent time with Ito, Rise, Tsunami, Sakura, Inari, and surprisingly Haku. Naruto and Haku found that they actually had a lot in common, especially with how they felt about protecting those they loved. Haku had tried tricking Naruto by saying that she was a boy, but Naruto didn't believe her since her scent of that of a female. Naruto also informed all of Wave that he had killed Gato, and even showed them the head he had sealed away. The people were overjoyed at this, and then almost went crazy when he gave them the money he stole, while only keeping enough to pay for the Messiah. Tsunami and Inari had spent a good amount of time packing up their stuff so that they could go live with Naruto. Inari had really taken to calling Naruto his dad, and even said he wanted to be a ninja just like him, so Naruto and Sakura helped Inari unlock his chakra and taught him a few things. Now Team 7 plus 3 civilians and Ito and Rise were leaving Wave and heading to Konoha, the people of Wave seeing them off and yelling for Tazuna to name the bridge the Great Naruto Bridge when he got back. Zabuza and Haku had already left for Kiri, though Haku's face was bright red when they left due to the fact that she had kissed Naruto's cheek and in response, he had slapped her ass. The two of them had grown rather close quickly in just 2 weeks. But that the group started on their way back to Konoha with Tsunami and Inari staying noticeably close to Naruto. "Hey Naruto-kun, when are you going to change me like you said?" asked Sakura in a whisper so that only Naruto could hear her. Also, no one other than the girls seemed to notice just how much more happy Sakura had been the last 2 weeks. She had been surprised by just how often she and Naruto were able to have oral sex, and now she couldn't wait for the real thing when they got back home. "When we get back to the village so that we can do it in a nice quiet setting where no one can see," said Naruto. "Do you mean turning me into a ghoul or fucking my brains out?" asked Sakura with a perverted smirk. "Both," said Naruto. Sakura blushed and got a nosebleed at the response. What if Kami and Shinigami masked Naruto godly being in chunin exams, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.